Imagine if you could read people like an open book. You'd understand their hidden intentions, their true feelings, and avoid misunderstandings or deception. Every social interaction would become clearer, almost effortless. Sounds like a dream, right? Of course, we can't literally read minds. But with the insights in this book, you can get remarkably close. This guide will teach you the fundamentals of reading people: body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, and the subtle cues that reveal what someone is really thinking or feeling. At first, people might seem like mysterious puzzles, impossible to figure out. But the truth is, you just haven't learned the signs to look for. Once you do, reading people becomes surprisingly easy. Some professionals, FBI profilers, police investigators, job interviewers, even dating coaches, have mastered the art of understanding people quickly and accurately. They don't possess some secret superhuman skill. They've simply learned techniques anyone can practice. And this book will teach you how to do the same. You'll learn to spot the small tells that reveal what people are hiding. Whether it's a lie, a fear, or a secret desire, a flicker of the eyes, a nervous gesture, a mismatch between words and body language. These all speak volumes. And beyond that, people reveal a lot just by what they say, if you truly listen. But reading people isn't just about observation, it's about connection. You'll also learn how to make people feel comfortable opening up, how to project trust, care, and empathy, so that others naturally share their thoughts and feelings with you. By mastering this skill, your relationships will improve, friendships, romantic connections, family dynamics, even your work life. You'll understand people better, respond appropriately to their emotions, avoid toxic individuals, and recognize those who truly have your best interests at heart. Even everyday encounters, whether with strangers on the street, colleagues at work, or friends and family, reading people is more than just a skill. It's a life-changing ability that can make you more empathetic, more aware, and more successful in your interactions. And the good news is, it's something anyone can learn. You've taken the first step by opening this book. Chapter 1. Personality Traits. Personality traits are the core of who you are. They shape how you think, feel, and behave, often without you even realizing it. Most people have a quiet awareness of their own personality, especially when they're around friends or family. You can sense who you are and how you naturally respond in different situations. Every social group is a blend of distinct personalities. No matter where you go, school, work, or your group of friends, you'll always find certain types of people who play specific roles in the dynamic. These roles appear again and again because they reflect deep universal patterns in human behavior. In almost any complete social circle, you will encounter 5 common personalities: the joker, the smart one, the worker, the loyal one, the strong one. These 5 roles bring balance, conflict, humor, and stability to social life. As you read this chapter, you may start recognizing these characters in your own circle, and perhaps even see which one you naturally embody. The joker. Humor is one of the important aspects of social interaction. It is present in all cultural affiliations, and nature or construct depends on different stimuli. Humor has not always been seen in a good light. Traditionally, most people see humor as an avenue for vulgarity, superiority, or a defense mechanism to protect the individual from dealing with their feelings. Heinz, 2017. In this sense, humor is used to demean others, or to inflate self-worth and make the joker feel more important than everyone else. This is not all there is to jokers. As a personality trait, there is so much more to jokers than meets the eye. It takes a high level of awareness and sensitivity to crack a good joke. Many times, the joker has to ensure their jokes are not only funny, but also appropriate. To do this, you must have a high level of emotional intelligence. Think about it. To make a good joke, The joker has to be aware of the possibility of having different interpretations of their statement. Some people will get it, others won't. You must also be mentally capable of creating a joke that is appropriate to the environment you are in. Given these two challenges, the joker must also help their audience resolve the quagmire by helping them understand and appreciate the funny element in their statement, while at the same time limiting the literal interpretations that might be offensive. Jokers never seem to run out of barbs, pranks, or humorous observations they can drop randomly. Many people love them in their social circles because they help you get through life. They make things easier, especially during difficult times. Their view on life makes you feel better about it. Even if you are going through a difficult time, a natural joker will find something funny to say about something no one thought of. It comes so naturally to them that their kind of humor is unpredictable. One of the reasons why people are so attracted to jokers is because of their spontaneity. This is someone who can make a funny joke about you, and you will have a hearty laugh about it, as with everyone else in your circle. Humor is important for such people because it is the bond they have with everyone else in the social circle. While you might see their humor as a normal thing, in many cases, it is a survival mechanism. It is not uncommon for a joker to make fun of themselves. In a tensed moment, they can do this to make everyone else laugh. In so doing, they show everyone else that they don't take themselves seriously either. If I don't take myself seriously, why should you? Some jokers are aggressive and can use sarcasm to conceal this trait. It is normal for a joker to laugh about their lives and other people's lives, especially when they point out the absurdity. But why do we keep them around in our circle? Jokers are contagious. You might not like them when you meet them, but they grow on you. They are the kind of people who can get anyone in a good mood, irrespective of the situation. In the event of a crisis, the one person you need around is a joker. They're in sight, and it can help you break the tension and make difficult moments easier for you. How do we interacting with jokers? Jokers are so much fun to be around, but not all the time. If you cannot understand their humor, your relationship will be strained. This is someone who gets through life like their purpose is to make sure everyone else laughs and enjoys life. There are instances where their jokes will be blown out of proportion and might come off as offensive to some people. One thing you should know about jokers is that most of them are sensitive emotionally, and it hurts them if someone thinks or says they are not funny. Humor means everything to them, and where it is not welcome, they feel unwanted. Intelligent jokers will also realize their mistake when they push a joke too far and apologize. However, some will get aggressive instead. Some people might not be jokers by nature, but have a penchant for jokes. A good number of these individuals will use humor as a weapon to avoid dealing with something painful in their lives, or to confront their self-esteem or confidence concerns. If you know such a person, it is wise to remind them gently that hurting is a normal part of life. Remind them that it will pass, and more importantly, they will come out stronger than they can imagine. Are you the joker in your social circle? Well, having discussed some of the features of jokers, how do you tell if you are the fun that glues the group together? If humor feels like a safe place for you and through it, you have fostered some amazing and healthy social ties over the years, it is highly possible you are the joker. It takes a high level of emotional intelligence to accept your role as the joker in the group. If you use humor as a means of connecting with the rest of the world, especially if you have struggled emotionally over the years, you might be the one. It is not just about connecting with the rest of the world. You can also use humor to connect with yourself. It helps you get down to earth, and at times by making fun of yourself, you amuse others and help them relate better with you. Most jokers are very creative. It is not easy to come up with a witty statement that makes everyone happy, regardless of the situation. Other than creativity, self-acceptance is another feature that would make you the joker in your social circle. You accept yourself and your life as it is, and you are content, even with your mishaps and misfortunes. No one is perfect, and this is one thing that resonates with most jokers. They understand the fallacy behind the allure of perfection and use humor to help everyone around them realize it too. When you accept your life and yourself as you are content and happier with your life. If not, you will end up chasing a mirage all your life. There are different types of joker characters that you might realize as you interact with different people. Each of these reveals something unique about the joker. Sarcastic jokers. Sarcasm doesn't come easy to everyone. Not everyone gets it. Sarcastic jokers are aggressive in their teases, and will, in most cases, be misconstrued as spewing hurtful attacks, especially when people cannot understand their sarcasm. Such a joker is not easily agreeable and is highly neurotic and a critic. Their criticism is concealed in humor. This is also a self-defense mechanism, so that if someone calls them out on their statements, they can say it was just a joke. Self-defeating joker. This is one of the most common jokers. They use themselves as props to make everyone else laugh. The joker might also laugh along with everyone else, yet the joke is on them. Such a joker is social and holds close bonds in high regard. Humor helps them build trust around people. However, experts also believe that self-defeating jokers might be more depressed and anxious about life than everyone else. They are not very confident about life or what they are working on, and this is why they use humor to seek validation and approval from everyone else around them. Optimistic jokers. The optimist can be quite a bother at times. You wonder why they never get sad. They always have something to say that makes you think about better days. To them, there is always another alternative, looking on the bright side. This is someone who can never be put down by adversity. Even in the worst possible scenario, they will still manage to smile and make everyone else laugh. Most such jokers are just trying to deal with the pressures of life in the best way they can. Humor to them is a way of dealing with stress. Life is difficult, but they believe whatever situation they are going through, it could have been worse. They appreciate the smallest gestures and value them deeply. They believe humor is a way to get so much out of life and avoid stressing themselves more than is necessary. Affiliative jokers. Affiliative jokers are smart. They use humor to improve their relationship with others or to help them get along. Their humor does not degrade or offend anyone. Their stories are hilarious, and almost anyone who comes across them will appreciate the wit. These jokers maintain a balance in life and relationships. They hold friendships in high regard and value all relationships they get into. Since they are emotionally stable, it is easier for them to establish strong bonds with people in a short time. They are genuine and will gladly reveal their true self to help their audience embrace them and create a deeper connection. You will also realize that this type of joker is not easily bothered or stressed by anything. They love the group dynamic and will go out of their way to make sure everyone in their social circle is present whenever something big is happening. New experiences and challenges appeal to them, and it is through this that they have a vast friendship network. Anyone can be the joker in your social circle. After all, everyone can find humor in something. However, you must read the moment well, so that you don't end up using humor excessively and at the wrong time. The smart one. What exactly does it mean to be smart in your social circle? Many people will answer this question in terms of IQ. However, in social interactions, smartness is more than just your IQ. Social interactions are about the way you relate with people, how you handle situations, and so forth. Intelligence alone does not cut it in social circles for you to be the smart one. There are so many attributes that can be used to identify a smart person. including charismatic sophistication, social elegance, and shrewdness. Smartness, therefore, can be expressed as a sum of many traits that are evident from your impact on your social circle or your world. The following are some of the features that can help you identify the smart one in your social circle. Intuition. If there is one thing that makes smart people stand out, it is their intuitive nature. Other people will ask for factual information. Smart people will follow their intuition, together with the facts. Most of their insights are from their gut feeling and intuition about something or someone. Smart people can also attune themselves to the motivations and reasons other people use to behave the way they do. They don't just act. They try to understand people first, and instead of reacting, they respond. This also explains why smart people tend to be very picky about the people they align within the social circle. They might be friends with everyone in the group, but they are friendlier with some members more than others. The idea is to make sure they are surrounded by quality friendships. Consciousness. Consciousness is awareness of your thoughts and emotions. It also helps if you do the same for other people. Being conscious means you understand your beliefs and morals, personality, values, strengths, and weaknesses. While they might appear wise to everyone else, they also believe that it is by interacting with others that they can improve their lives and become more enlightened. Smart people are keen on personal development, both for themselves and for everyone else in the social circle who is willing to try. They realize that it is impossible to force someone to change, but they can try to help you become better, because if you do, it is for your greater good and for the good of the social construct too. Creativity. New and radical ideas appeal to smart people. They are always on the lookout for better ways of doing things, challenging the status quo. Through progressive thinking, smart people try to move away from their comfort zone to pursue success. Open-mindedness. Stagnation is one of the last things on a smart person's mind. They are always open and receptive to new ideas. Many believe that it is only when they create room for ideas that they can challenge themselves to do better. Problem-solving comes easy to them, as they always seek progressive and inventive ways of doing things. A different point of view is always welcome. Reinvention. A smart person appreciates growth and development. The only way to do this is to keep learning and reinventing themselves as time goes by. They seek healthy collaborative partnerships, which eventually help them improve and advance in their careers and personal life. Generosity. It costs nothing to help someone in need. If they are in a position to assist you, they will. If someone helps them, the best way they can return the favor is to pay it forward. They mentor and guide others whenever they can. They love to share and uplift others. Self-belief. Smart people are confident and have strong self-belief. They trust in themselves and their ability over anyone else. Usually, this is because while they know their abilities and strengths, they are not so sure about someone else's and cannot trust them to make the same split-second decisions they would. Self-belief for smart people also means they will hardly seek validation from anyone else. They trust in their ability and know that the only person they can fully rely upon is themselves. Adventurous. Willingness to try is one of the reasons why they are better than everyone else. It is better they try and fail than not try at all. Smart people rarely give up when their first attempt at anything fails. They see the brighter side, opportunities, and lessons in failure. They know they can come back stronger, and they will succeed in the long run. Their adventurous nature also makes them take more risks than everyone else. Humorous. One of the features of smart people is humor. They know when and how to use humor for different reasons. They can use it to get out of a tricky situation, to make a situation lighter, or as an act of sarcasm, to end a discussion they feel is not worth their time. Willingness to learn. Consummate learners are people who believe that there is an endless list of things. They are yet to learn about something even if they are experts at the subject. They crave more knowledge, and you might find them reading similar books about something so they can understand it deeper and better. Independence. While they appreciate the importance of group dynamics, smart people will still strive to be independent whenever they can. They will also question authority if they feel something is not right, always on time. If you need someone who is always on time and respects schedules, this is your go-to person. Time is a resource we have in limited supply. Smart people understand this and will do everything they can to make sure they limit time wastage as much as possible. They shun procrastination because it can only lead to lost opportunity and regret. Alongside being on time, mutual respect and dependability are other features that represent smart people. They respect people who respect their time, and they strive to be as dependable as possible. Resourceful. They are the knowledge database in your social circle. It is not just knowledge in the form of information they crammed, but when they explain something, you can tell they know what they are talking about. They can spring up a few credible referrals and resources to back their explanation. The worker. There is always that one person in your social circle that you feel checks all the boxes you would hope to find in the workplace. Whenever you face a problem at work, you can think about them and what they would do, and hope someone you are locked in a confrontation with might change their ways and be like them. The following are some of the traits that can identify them. Strong ethical boundaries. One of the first things you realize about them is that they are always serious about their boundaries, especially where ethical decisions come into play. If they are not doing something, no amount of cajoling can get them to change their minds. They might, however, stay and watch you do it, but they will not indulge. Consistent. This is also one of the most consistent members of your social circle. Because of their consistency, they are dependable. You can almost always count on them to come through whenever you agree on something, or if you make plans to do something. Other than consistency, they also follow through after the fact to make sure things are okay. Self-motivated. The first two features lead us to motivation. Individuals who keep solid ethical boundaries, respect them, and are consistent will also be self-motivated. They don't have to look further than themselves for motivation. Many times, you look toward them for motivation, healthy adaptations. Flexibility is another important trait you can expect of this person. They can find time out of their busy schedule to address an issue they believe is important to anyone in your social circle. Their flexibility, however, has its limits. They are willing to adapt and make some changes as long as they are healthy decisions. Otherwise, they are bound by their moral, ethical code. Good communicator. Communication is one of the important reasons why your group stays close-knit and healthy as it is. Such individuals are very good communicators. They will check up on everyone if they have to make sure you are all on the same page. When the message is shared clearly and everyone understands it, there is very little that can go wrong. Fosters team spirit. These individuals also embrace team spirit and might be the glue that holds your social circle together. They feel complete when the group is together and are always willing to make sure no one is left behind. The bonds in the group mean so much to them, and they believe that this works for everyone else too. The loyalty, like trust, is a costly quality. You can only expect it from someone who understands what is at stake and why it matters. Commitment in your social circle means that none of the things you talk about is shared with anyone else outside your group. It is more like an unofficial oath. Some loyalties are forged out of shared experiences, and until someone else shares the same experience with you, you cannot be loyal to them. The following are some of the characteristics of the loyalist in your social circle. Commitment. One thing that you will learn about the loyalist is that commitment is never an issue for them. They believe in the greater common goal and will not hesitate to commit to something you are working toward. They also believe that together you can accomplish so much more than if you approach things individually. Positive outlook. Such individuals are always positive about life and everything else in general. You might be mistaken to think their lives are nothing but a bed of roses and pockets full of sunshine. Positivity in life easily spreads to relationships and interactions with the people around you. It is satisfying and helps to build trust among yourselves. Self-awareness. When people are aware of who they are and what they want from life, it is easier for them to bond with everyone else in your social circle because they feel they have found the perfect fit for them. They realize that everyone is different in the group, but it does not stop them from trying to experience new and different things with everyone in the group. They know what works for them and trust the group to satisfy their social needs. Don't fear uncertainty. The fear of the unknown is something many people struggle with. Loyal people, however, do not. If they do, they are not as bothered as many people are. They take confidence in the fact that the rest of the group is there for them, and you are there for one another, so if they have to try something different and you do it together, they are comfortable with it. Appreciate routines. While many people might be bored with routines, loyal people are not. In fact, they look forward to the routine. Meeting together for a Wednesday evening coffee, for example, is something they cannot miss. They feel bad if the meeting is cancelled for whichever reason, and they will not hesitate to bring it up at the earliest opportunity. Routine for them means stability. They don't need to keep looking for something new or some other challenge. They are happy where they are, and they are satisfied with what they get from your social circle. Empathize. Loyalists are quick to empathize. They are drawn to everyone in the group, not just because of the shared experiences, but also because of the struggles that you have been through together. They feel your pain and understand your emotion. Such people appreciate structure in their lives, and other than staying in the social circle longer, they also seem to have very stable and healthy personal relationships. The strong personalities are some of the most commonly misunderstood people. Everyone assumes that they are intimidating, which they might be, but in most cases it is because no one gives them time to express themselves fully. The following are some of the character traits that you can expect from someone in your social circle that has this personality. Shun attention. Strong people don't need any more attention than they already have. In fact, they are often bothered by the lengths to which people will go to get attention. While they don't love attention, it seems to love them anyway. As they go about doing things in their own way, their boldness attracts people. Without trying, they get attention other people work so hard to get. Protective of their personal space. Nothing is more important to these individuals than their personal space, and they would appreciate it if everyone respected that. They are fully aware of how inconsistent people are, and as a result, they don't expect much from people. They believe that it is easier, better and more fulfilling to be alone than to be surrounded by very many fake friends. Ask them to name their friends, and you will be surprised at how short their list is. Don't need approval. Unlike many people today, strong personalities do not need or crave approval. They do what they feel and know is right and can stand by it. They don't do anything so they can be seen or recognized. As long as they do what they are expected to, they go away happy and content in the fact that they performed their roles satisfactorily. Insensitivity irks them. They are bothered by idiocy, insensitivity, and ignorance. The reason for this is because, naturally, everything they do is well thought out, and their reasons are obvious. They know it is foolish to rush into decisions and will shun anyone who does that. They believe in information and are disturbed when they interact with someone who is not informed, especially when you consider the wealth of information available on the internet. Hate small talk. Small talk is a waste of time. It is a tedious experience. and they would prefer to sit in silence or read a book and listen to music instead of engaging in small talk. They also believe there are a lot of other amazing and better things to talk about instead of petty, irrelevant subjects. Very good listeners. If you are looking for a good listener, this is one of their best traits. Given their penchant for information and awareness, they are very good listeners. They are keen on everything you say and will not hesitate to correct you when you are misleading the group or talking about something that is not factual. You can discuss something with them today, but they will read on it as a matter of interest and challenge you about it the next time you meet. Chapter 2. The Secrets to Reading People. Free your judgment. There are many things that can cloud your judgment when reading people. Biases, intimidation, and sexual attraction are just some of the things that can make you choose to ignore your gut and misread someone. You may think that someone's harsh actions are admirable if you admire the person, while their actions would appear despicable if you did not admire them. Do not let anything cloud your judgment. Men are more likely to judge pretty young women less harshly. They let pretty young women get away with disrespectful behavior in hopes of winning their favor. If you are attracted to someone, you are more likely to ignore red flags about the person. Try to look past sexual attraction. Understand that there are plenty of attractive people in the world. So fixating on one person's attractiveness is not necessary. You just need to view an attractive person more objectively. Try to focus on his or her character as a separate thing from his or her looks. Status or certain jobs can also make you admire someone. But understand that someone is not perfect just because of his or her status. Do not let someone's status intimidate you or bamboozle you. In fact, they probably got to where they are today by being cruel to others. Read their character separately from their status or work. Being in your own emotional funk can really distort your judgment too. When you are emotionally down, you may be harsher to judge others in your state of bitterness. You may also be more vulnerable to kind actions from others. Unfortunately, manipulators are great at spotting when you are upset and offering a kind action in order to gain favor with you. Do not let your emotional state make you vulnerable in judgment. Emotional wounds can make it hard for you to trust people. This is especially true after you've been through a divorce or bad breakup. As a result, you might judge the gender that you are attracted to unfairly. You may instantly dislike all people of that gender. Do not be so quick to write off people that you do not know. Use your scars as lessons to read people who remind you of those that have hurt you in the past. But do not make the mistake of thinking that the entire gender is bad. Give individuals a chance. Try to read them for who they are, not who your ex was. Don't just base it off of behavior. Sometimes behavior is inaccurate because it is fake. Many people are great at creating a facade. They appear totally normal and upstanding, while hiding their horrendous internal flaws. Think of most serial killers. Often they go to work, keep nice houses, and look like totally normal people. The world is shocked when they are finally caught with a basement full of hacked-up bodies and torture devices. Sexual deviants who get caught watching child porn are often politicians and businessmen with great jobs and totally normal outside appearances. While these examples are extreme, many people are adept at hiding their bad personalities under totally normal behavior. Therefore, you cannot base judgments off of the outward behavior of others, as this behavior can be faked and misleading. Create a baseline. Try to gauge a baseline of someone's normal behavior. Watch for unusual mannerisms that a person often displays. Quirks and habits that you frequently observe in someone over time form the person's baseline. A baseline does not take long to form once you become more adept at reading people with practice. FBI profilers will usually gather this information within the first 15 seconds of meeting a person. From this baseline, You are able to tell when someone is behaving abnormally. When someone is behaving abnormally, you can determine that something is going on. Perhaps the person is lying or is upset about something. It is difficult to start a baseline on someone if you do not have a chance to observe him over a period of time, and you are not yet adept at reading people in just a few seconds. Therefore, it is a good idea to watch for really odd behavior. Behavior that stands out as unusual may be a quirk, or it may be a sign of something more ominous, such as deception. You may want to ask other people who know the person well if this behavior is normal for him. If you can't do that, then you simply must rely on your gut. But do not rely too much on behavior to form judgments about people. You can start a baseline just by asking someone how they are doing today. Watch how the person reacts. From there, you can determine what his or her normal mannerisms are. The more you talk, the more you can gather about the person's baseline. Does his eye tick often? Does he often gesticulate with his hands? Does he stutter normally, or is he normally articulate? Also, gauge the speed with which he speaks in normal conversation and the tone and pitch of his voice. You must establish a baseline in order to tell when someone is behaving inconsistently. In addition, a baseline lets you know how a person is in normal settings. If a person is typically nervous, you can decide if you want to be around someone who is frequently nervous and therefore probably insecure with social anxiety. If a person is typically rude and blunt, you can determine if you want to deal with that kind of behavior in the future. Infer things from the initial reaction. Of course, strangers tend to be tense in their initial behavior toward you because they do not know you well. But a person's initial reaction to you indicates a lot of information about how he feels about himself and how he feels about other people. This initial reaction shows the hang-ups he may have and the guard that he puts up to protect himself or the facade that he erects to charm people that he meets for the first time. As a result, this reaction says a lot about who he is as a person and the things that you may expect from him as you get to know him better. If he is initially rude, for instance, he may thaw and become nicer toward you, but you know that at heart he has his guard up against new people. You can then wonder why he has his guard up. He is probably a sensitive and insecure person with a lot of emotional baggage. He feels that he has to act tough and careless in order to avoid getting hurt. Particularly articulate and charming people usually have a lot to hide. They are great at being around people and hiding who they really are. They have designed behavior that is intended to hook people. Very charming behavior is often indicative of manipulative and deceptive personalities. A person who is overly nervous usually has social anxiety and is rife with insecurities. This person will probably get more comfortable with you over time. However, you may want to avoid trusting him too much. As a general rule, people who are insecure are not reliable and will act in ways that are not always appropriate. Insecure people tend to have trust issues, and they will act out in ways that are hurtful because they believe that they are not good enough. You are not responsible for the insecurities of another person, so don't allow such a person to burden you with his problems and doubts. A person who acts too calm is probably also a sufferer of social anxiety. However, he is adept at projecting calmness to hide how nervous he is. Become suspicious of people who are just too chill. Also watch for people who only want to talk about themselves. People who are obsessed with themselves and don't even try to ask you questions about yourself are typically very selfish. This behavior will not change with time. Another behavior that will not change with time is someone who is negative even on your first meeting. People like this are very toxic and will simply try to drag you down. A person who talks about others shamelessly when he first meets you is also probably a chronic gossip. It is not normal for someone to start gossiping when he first meets you. Positivity and enthusiasm are great signs in a person that you have just met. However, if someone talks too much of a big game and brags overly much, you can assume that this person is trying to impress you or even make up for something that he feels that he is lacking. Mild positivity and enthusiasm is a great sign, but being overly enthusiastic is not. Confidence and assurance of oneself is a good sign in a stranger. A person who is willing to introduce himself to you, look you in the eye, and talk to you is usually secure in himself. He has developed good social skills and hence might be a more sensitive friend, lover, or work associate. While you want to be wary of people who are too smooth and charming, someone who acts normal yet confident is usually a good person to know. Ask pointed questions. If you want to get to know someone, feel free to ask him questions about himself. He will probably volunteer a lot of the information that you want to know. You don't even have to ask him things to find out a lot of information about who he is as a person, what he likes, and what he is looking for from his association with you. But if he does not volunteer what you want to know, then ask. It is best to ask pointed questions and to not be vague. If you are vague, you run the risk of miscommunication. As an adult, there is no use or time for games anymore. You know that you cannot be a mind reader, and neither can anyone else. So ask what you want to know without shame. You do not want to appear like you are interrogating someone. Asking rapid-fire questions can really put a person off. Asking overly personal questions about someone's life, family, or personality is also off-putting. But do not be afraid to ask general, socially acceptable questions whenever there is a break in the conversation. Monitor a person in how he answers your questions. Since you have already more or less established a good baseline, you can tell when there are inconsistencies in his responses. If his gestures, tone, pitch, or eye contact suddenly shifts away from his baseline, then you can tell that he is not being truthful, or that a question makes him uncomfortable for some reason. You can change the subject or pursue it more, depending on your goal in communication with him. Word choice is important. How a person talks indicates a lot about what he is feeling and thinking. Listen for key words that indicate his intentions and his basic state of mind. The words that he chooses say a lot about how he is as a human being and what he is really feeling at the moment. If you are meeting someone for the first time, remember that the initial meeting speaks volumes about who a person is inside. How he chooses to speak to you right off the bat indicates a lot about who he is generally. Someone who uses very harsh, aggressive language is an aggressive person, or else he is currently in an angry mood. You never want someone to show you anger when you first meet. This indicates that the person may have an anger management problem. Someone who uses very vague wording is possibly passive-aggressive and trying to skirt around a hard subject. This type of person is not able to be direct. Expect games and behavior like shirking responsibility. If this person wrongs you, he will probably never admit to it and apologize. If he has a problem with you, he will probably never tell you to your face, but rather will hint about it or tell everyone else how he feels except for you. Another troubling sign is when someone repeatedly says sorry or seems to take the blame for things. This type of person is very sinecure and blames himself for everything. Someone who uses conceited language, such as bragging about how he just won another award, indicates how proud he is of himself. Watch for people who brag too much about themselves. These people are usually narcissistic and egotistical, or else they are overcompensating for feelings of inadequacy. A person who uses very critical language is probably an overly judgmental person or a perfectionist. Watch for someone who nitpicks everything. This is a trait that will not lessen with time. If anything, it will only grow worse with time. Most people use I terms more frequently than any other. This is not a troubling sign, but someone who uses more we terms is a better team player who is looking to collaborate with you. Someone who uses more you terms is focused on you. This can be a great sign that someone is focused on pleasing you and getting to know you. Or else it can be a worrisome sign that someone is trying to manipulate you. Watch for other word choices in order to tell the difference. If someone is asking you about what you like or who you are, then that is usually a sign that he wants to get to know you or find out how to best please you. This is a great sign in a date, a new friend, or a person that you are thinking about hiring for a service. But if he seems to be fishing for pertinent information with overly personal questions, if he keeps trying to find ways that he can commiserate with you so that you will confide in him, or if he is using fancy language and flattery to make you feel ingratiated and charmed by him, then that is a bad sign that he is trying to get an emotional hook into you in order to manipulate you. A good sign that someone is being shifty is vague language. Someone who refuses to answer yes or no questions is probably lying. Someone who uses confusing language is probably deliberately creating a sort of mirage of vagueness in order to hide something. What is unsaid says a lot. Studies suggest that 93% of human communication is unspoken. Chapter 3. The Art of Analyzing Human Behavior. Human beings are regarded to be among the most complex creatures on Earth. The complexity of human beings extends to the nature of their behavior. This implies that it is quite difficult to fully understand and analyze such behavior, especially from a layman's perspective. Psychiatrists have the upper hand when it comes to their capacity to understand and analyze human behavior. Human behavior is complex. This is due to the fact that they have the prerequisite training that equips them with the capacity to analyze such behavior in a much more professional manner. However, you do not really have to be a psychiatrist in order to understand human behavior. Anyone with adequate information on some of the fundamental issues that underlie human behavior can effectively and accurately analyze such behavior. Enhanced capacity to analyze human behavior will enable you to have a greater understanding of the people around you. Sometimes, people might not be willing to go out and actually say what is on their mind. However, when you know what to look for, with respect both verbal and non-verbal cues, you will be able to decipher the message that they are trying to put across, thus eliminating potential conflicts that can arise due to miscommunication. It is also equally important to maintain an open mind and avoid any pre-established biases that can undermine your capacity to fully grasp and analyze what the other person is trying to put across. This chapter will focus on the art of analyzing human behavior with a view of making you a better person in terms of your capacity to interpret and analyze the behavior of others. Use of language. One of the most distinguishing aspects when it comes to the manner in which people behave is their preferred use of language. Language is considered the most reliable universal tool for communication. The language also plays a key role in fostering relations among people, since it enables them to communicate freely, exchange ideas, and express their perspectives on different issues. However, the manner in which different people use language is different, and these differences usually reflect their behavior and attitudes towards various things. The preference for polite language is one thing that can enable you to analyze the behavior of the person you are communicating with. Heavy use of polite words and expressions such as please, may I, kindly, and other such words that are meant to convey a message of politeness can go a long way in helping one analyze human behavior. People who prefer to use such words and expressions tend to put a lot of value and emphasis on positive human relations and would be more than willing to take into account the perspectives of others. Such individuals are usually polite and considerate towards others, and are more likely to make a compromise in order to accommodate the needs of the other person. On the other hand, the absence of polite words and expressions could be an indicator that the person is likely to exhibit dictatorial tendencies towards others. This implies that such an individual is more likely to insist on having their way at any cost, and not consider the option of making any compromises. When it comes to using language, another aspect that comes out strongly is also the preference for unconventional, harsh or abusive language. For instance, curse words are mainly considered to be an unconventional language and are not used in mainstream communication. However, there are people whose usage of such words is much more common as compared to others. Preference for curse words, abusive language, and harsh words can be helpful in the analysis of human behavior, since people who prefer such language are usually more prone to violent behavior towards others. Similarly, the preference for such words can also indicate that someone is likely to pay little attention to the consequences of their actions. A good example would be an employee who uses such words against the employer. In such a scenario, such an employee might end up adopting an overall lackluster attitude towards their roles and responsibilities, because they do not care whether or not they will get fired. Finally, such people can also adopt an overall resigned attitude towards life, and this can undermine the relationships that they have with their family members, friends, and other people who are significant in their lives. Interpretation of nonverbal cues. People might not often say what is really on their minds. In some cases, someone might say one thing while in essence, they mean the opposite. For instance, one might say that they are satisfied with a reward that they have been offered, but in reality, they are highly unsatisfied with the same. In such a situation, your capacity to identify nonverbal cues can go a long way in facilitating accurate analysis of the behavior of the person that you are communicating with. This is due to the fact that such nonverbal cues offer a window into the exact position and opinion that a person has towards something. Facial expression. There are several nonverbal cues that you can use in order to analyze human behavior, with one of them being reading of another person's facial expression. It is very easy for someone to lie with their mouths, but quite difficult to do the same with their face. Facial expression can depict the actual feeling that has on a certain issue. Facial expression can depict happiness, sadness, anger, disgust, and even resentment. When you know exactly what to look for in terms of facial expressions, you will be in a better position to know what a person feels and how they will behave when they are subjected to a certain situation. For instance, a spouse might indicate that they are happy with you going away on your own holiday for a while. However, their facial expression might indicate that they are unhappy with your decision. Your capacity to decipher such an expression will enable you to know how they are likely to behave while you are away, such as engaging in an activity that you might not approve of. Raised eyebrows. Some of the most notable facial expressions that most people overlook include raising of the eyebrows, which mainly shows that someone is surprised by a suggestion or an opinion. At times, a raised eyebrow might indicate that someone is in doubt regarding the viability of the suggestion. For instance, you might put forward a suggestion for a weekend activity, and they accept but a raised eyebrow. This implies that they are in doubt and are therefore not likely to embrace the suggestion despite the fact that they have indicated their approval. Such a friend will, therefore, exhibit behavior that contradicts their earlier position, such as failing to pick up your calls even after repeated attempts. Frown lines. In addition to raised eyebrows, another facial expression that you can look out for is the presence and nature of frown lines. A high concentration of frown lines might be an indicator that the person is deeply concerned about something. Such an individual might not be willing to share their concerns with you, but in case you notice such frown lines, then you will be in a position to know that they might be faced with some serious issue in their lives. Clenched teeth. Clenched teeth also fall within the category of facial expression that can be used as a non-verbal cue. Many people will clench their teeth if they are uneasy with a situation that they are in. Whenever you are interacting with someone with clenched teeth, then you can look for ways of making them feel at ease, thus making the interaction more productive. Body language, body posture. In addition to facial expression, another non-verbal cue that can be quite helpful in analyzing the behavior of others is body language. Your body language says a lot about what you are thinking and how you are likely to behave. The body language refers to several things such as your posture, the use of gestures, and even your proximity to the person you are communicating with. A posture can tell a lot about the character of a person and consequently their general behavior. For instance, people who prefer to communicate while putting their arms across their chest are more likely to keep things close to themselves. Such people are least likely to lie about issues that affect them in their personal lives, or even volunteer information that might have a significant impact on the people that they are communicating with. On the contrary, people who are more open-minded will prefer more informal postures, such as putting their hands behind their heads in a relaxed fashion while communicating others. Such individuals are more likely to embrace new ideas, focus on the issues that the other person is highlighting, and even offer alternative perspectives in order to encourage a more productive discussion. Body language can therefore be used in analyzing the manner in which someone else is likely to respond to other people and their ideas. Proximity. Proximity is also another aspect of body language that is very important when it comes to body language. Proximity in this context refers to how close two people are when they are physically interacting with one another. People who are not willing to fully engage with the other person would prefer to lean away while talking to them. A good example would be a colleague leaning away from you when you are discussing a business proposal with them. In this scenario, the colleague might show approval of your proposal, but the fact they were leaning away from you might result in contradictory behavior on their part. They are thus more likely to end rejecting the idea after all. On the other hand, someone who is really interested in the idea is likely to lean forward during your conversation, ask to follow up questions and nod their heads in approval. Such body language indicates genuine acceptance, and thus the individual will go out of their way and work for hand in hand with you in ensuring that the proposal is indeed a success. The positioning of the arms. The position of the arms is an important aspect of body language that you should always look out for. In many cases, people will expose their arms while communicating. The arms can also be used to illustrate gestures and other elements of nonverbal communication. However, there are situations in which the other party might opt to place their arms in a position that is away from you, for instance, hiding their arms under the table. In such a scenario, the person is more likely to be hiding something from you. Similarly, hiding of the arms can also indicate that the person does not really hold their same opinion as you do on the issue at hand, but their approval is mainly meant to impress or manipulate you. Laughter and its meaning. Laughter is often said to have curative attributes, whereby people who laugh more are likely to lead healthier lives. When it comes to analyzing human behavior, laughter also plays an integral role in revealing and analyzing the actual behavior of another person. First and foremost, it is important to point out that laughter is unique, in that different people are likely to have different kinds of laughter. Such variations might be in the form of the tone of the laughter and duration. Ideally, laughter is often associated with a happy feeling, but this is not always the case. There are cases where someone might be laughing, but they are not necessarily happy. In order to understand how people are likely to behave based on their laughter, it is important to understand some of the salient features that underpin this form of human communication. Genuine laughter will usually involve the dilation of the eyes. This implies that in addition to the mouth, the laughter and happiness expressed will also be expressed in the eyes of the person laughing. In this scenario, such a person is likely to express their emotions through the laughter. On the other hand, a person might laugh, but the same emotion is not conveyed in their eyes. Furthermore, such laughter might be of low tone and short duration that ultimately comes out as forced. In this second example, the laughter is used as a tool for masking the actual feeling that the person has. In most cases, this is referred to as sarcastic laughter. A perfect example would be someone congratulating you on your achievement while laughing, but the tone of their laughter does not resonate with the message. In this example, the laughter is not really meant to highlight your achievement, but instead, it seeks to undermine it. Furthermore, the individual in question is also not genuinely proud of your achievement, but they might be envious or disapproving of the same. The role of gut feeling. Gut feeling refers to your natural intuition about something. It is very common to find yourself in a scenario where you feel strongly about something, but really cannot explain the origin of such a feeling. Most often than not, you do not even have any prior knowledge regarding the situation at hand, but somehow you have a feeling that you know how to go about addressing such a situation. This is a good example of what constitutes a gut feeling. Gut feeling also relates to the way we think about others. Sometimes you might be meeting someone for the first time, but you have a feeling that you know something or two regarding the person. Maybe your gut feeling could be telling you that the person in question is dishonest. In such a scenario, it is sometimes better to trust your gut feeling instead of looking out for some of the aforementioned signs, body language, and use of language and such attributes that plays a key role in the analysis of the behavior of others. By going with your natural intuition, you might end up averting situations that would ordinarily not want to get into. For instance, in this example, your gut feeling might prevent you from entering into a business deal with someone who is dishonest. Dishonest people are likely to fraudsters, and you might end up losing your hard-earned money by dealing with them. The nature of physical contact during an interaction. You are bound to experience some form of physical contact or the other whenever you are interacting with their people. Physical contact could be something as mild as a handshake to a more intense contact such as a hug. Whatever the nature of the contact, it might be very useful in enabling you to analyze the behavior of others. The handshake. Starting with the handshake, which is perhaps the most common form of physical contact. A handshake can say a lot about the behavior of the person you are interacting. A firm handshake can, for instance, indicate that the individual is self-confident or someone with high self-esteem. Similarly, a firm handshake is also an indicator that someone is more likely to be committed to their obligations. Such a person might, therefore, be the ideal candidate to get into business with, since they are least likely to let you down. On the other hand, a soft handshake can also tell you a lot about the behavior of the individual you are interacting with. People with soft handshakes are most often than not non-committal. They might have low motivation levels towards their work, and this might undermine their overall performance. Finally, there are people who would insist on having put their plans on top of the other person's palm during the handshake. In most cases, such individuals tend to be domineering and would insist on having their way in many situations. The hug. In addition to a handshake, A hug is also another notable form of physical interaction that most people experience on a day-to-day basis. Unlike a handshake, a hug is a more intimate form of physical interaction that can also be used to analyze the behavior of the person you are interacting with. A hug can be warm and inviting. A warm and inviting hug indicates that the person is open-minded and genuinely interested in you or your ideas. For instance, you go for a first date with someone you just met online, and after the date, you end hugging them and realize that the hug is warm and inviting. This is an indicator that the person is likely to be interested in you and will be more than willing to agree to a second date. On the other hand, a hug can also be withdrawn and even feel uncomfortable. In such a case, the other person might not really naturally be a non-committal person, or they might just not be interested in you. Be wary of signs of intuitive empathy. It is human nature to relate to the feelings and emotions of the people around us. For instance, when a friend loses a loved one, it is only natural for one to feel sad for their friend and relate to the loss. Such extension of emotional connection is at times referred to as empathy. Empathy differs significantly from sympathy, which is basically an expression of sorrow or pity to another person without necessarily relating to what they are going through. There are cases where expression of empathy might not be genuine. This is because a person might behave in a manner to suggest that they empathize with what you are going through, but in reality, they do not. For instance, someone might appear sad, but in reality they are actually rejoicing in your adversity. Lack of genuine empathy could be an indicator that the person you depend on might not really go out of their way to help you despite their earlier indication that they would do so. There are various signs that could reveal that the person is not genuinely empathetic to your situation. For instance, the person might appear sad, but the same emotion is not expressed in their eyes. As earlier pointed out, the eyes play a key role in revealing a person's true emotions, and thus, real sadness must be reflected in the eyes as well. Similarly, genuine empathy also tends to go hand in hand with the actions of the person expressing such emotion. To this end, when a person is genuinely empathetic with you, they will go out of their way to offer both emotional and physical support. Otherwise, such an expression of empathy is likely to be dishonest and might not result in much. Pay attention to physical appearance. The physical appearance of someone relates to how they present themselves to other people. Physical appearance comprises the choice of clothing that a person chooses to wear, their choice of haircut or hairdo, and even use of makeup. The physical appearance of an individual plays a key role when it comes to analyzing the manner in which they are likely to behave. The preference for power clothing, such as power suits by both men and women, reveals that the person is most likely to be self-confident. Similarly, such clothing can also reveal the fact that the person is more likely to be a conformist. This is someone who is likely to adhere to the established norms, add preferences within the society. On the other hand, preference for casual appearances, such as t-shirt and jeans, could indicate the likelihood of non-conformist behavior. Furthermore, excessive use of makeup is a sign of a person who is likely to go out of their way in order to please others. Look out for the walking style. The way that a person walks can also be used to analyze their behavior. Walking styles can tell whether or not a person is self-confident, determined, or unsure of themselves. In most cases, people who walk with their heads held up high and chest forward are usually self-confident and go-getters. Such individuals are more likely to face up to their challenges and come up with solutions that can adequately address these challenges. On the contrary, those who walk with their heads bowed down, shoulders shrugged with short, unsure strides will mostly end up being unsure of themselves, lack self-confidence, and have low self-esteem. Why is it important to analyze the behavior of other people? Analyzing the behavior of other people makes it easy for one to know what their actual stance on a given issue. It is typical for human beings always to try to impress one another. Consequently, more people are likely to tell you what they think you want to hear, as opposed to telling what is actually on their mind. This is not sustainable, especially when it comes to interpersonal relationships. Sooner rather than later, the other person will find out your true position on the issue, and they will feel that you have been dishonest with them. Furthermore, as the party who is being polite, you might end up feeling that you have been taken advantage of since your concerns have not been addressed. Keeping things bottled up can lead to adverse consequences. For instance, a person spending too much time worrying about something but is not willing to share the same is not good for their health. The person will end up stressing yourself and even developing disorders and diseases such as depression occasioned by high stress levels. When you know how to analyze the behavior of other people, you will be able to intervene and find out the underlying issues that are giving them sleepless nights. This will make it easier to find solutions, thereby ensuring that they do not suffer any of the adverse effects associated with keeping things bottled up. It is important to know how to go about analyzing the behavior of others so as to avert potentially undesirable outcomes. Someone might be hiding something from you due to ill motives. For instance, they might know about an impending activity that can undermine your career, but they hold on to the information. Having the capacity to analyze both verbal and non-verbal cues based on their behavior will enable you to take proactive measure in order to prevent such an eventuality. Finally, the ability to analyze behavior is crucial when it comes to law enforcement. Law enforcement officers interact with criminally minded individuals on a regular basis. Such people have perfected the art of deception so to conceal their criminal activity. However, if the police are able to analyze their behavior, then they will be in a better position to interpret such behavior and come up with clues that can enable solve various criminal cases. Conclusion. In a nutshell, human behavior uniquely identifies people based on their attributes. One of the ways through which you can analyze the behavior of others is through their use of language. How a person uses language will determine how they will behave towards others. Such a preference for harsh language might be predisposed to violent behavior. Be that as it may, it might be very difficult to rely solely on language, since many people do not always say what is on their minds. To this end, nonverbal cues go a long way in ensuring that one is able to analyze the behavior of others accurately. Some of the nonverbal cues that have been discussed in this chapter include analysis of body language, analysis of facial expression, analysis of physical appearance, analysis of laughter, the physical appearance of the person one is interacting with, and finally, the walking style of the individual in question. All the aforementioned attributes offer an insightful and accurate analysis of the behavior of people. Such information can be very useful in decision-making, since one will be able to tell the actual stance that the other person has on an issue. Analysis of behavior can also help in averting undesirable consequences, while at the same time being quite useful in law enforcement. Chapter 4. Body language. One of the easiest ways to analyze other people is to look at their body language. How a person holds themselves, moves, and even speaks can tell you a lot about them. Everyone has plenty of variation between their mannerisms, and there's no exact way to tell what makes up a person. There are still many similar indications among groups of people that can give you a deep insight into how someone functions. It's not easy, because it starts with becoming aware of your own body language. In order to understand and attempt to overcome the enigma that is body language, you have to be hyper-aware. In Book 1, we took you through the process of becoming aware of your thoughts and where they might come from. Now it's time to work on becoming aware of your body. In order to learn what makes a person different from others based on their body language, you have to first look at yourself and analyze how you hold your body. Some people might be more aware of their movements than they are their thoughts. Women are likely going to be more aware of their bodies and the space they take up, mostly because of the patriarchal society we grew up in. Everyone still might find difficulty in confronting the way they hold their body. You can lose focus while trying to maintain awareness, becoming too insecure with your own body and movements. Once you get to know the body movements better of another person, you can also understand what makes them unique. The more you know about a person, the better you can conclude the best strategy for persuasion. Cultural differences. Every person is different, and sometimes how one person holds their body has a different meaning than someone who stands the same way. There are plenty of ways that a person's body language differs. So it's important to remember that not everything about a certain body movement is 100% true for every person. This is especially important to remember when talking to people with different cultural backgrounds. There are some cultures that practice modesty, so touching might be completely off limits. Other cultures might be more open to expressing their feelings through their bodies, so culture is important to remember when thinking about how a person might use their body. Studying others' movements. Once you become more aware of body movements and what they might represent, you can start studying them when interacting with different people. Everyone you come in contact with uses their body to represent different things. Some people are closed off, and others might be more open. These are some small differences you could tell just by observing someone's body language. When studying other people and yourself, it's important to try and act naturally as well. It can be easy to become hyper-aware of your movements, but know that you don't have to hold your body a certain way. Not everyone is as aware of body movements as others might be, so at the end of the day, don't look into your own movements too much. Still, once you start studying others' body movements, you'll start to realize how much you can get to know them. Certain things might all start to make sense after meeting a variety of individuals. You might notice that one of your friends is rather pretentious in the way they hold themselves or talk. Other friends might show how insecure they are with themselves, even though you thought they had been incredibly confident since you'd known them. Knowing a person's body language and having insight as to why they might move a certain way can allow you to understand them at their core better. This gives you better leverage when it comes to persuading them. You might want to match the confidence of your boss when striking up a deal for a raise. Perhaps you noticed you need to be more relaxed around certain friends that seem to be shy or nervous. Becoming aware of your body language can be scary at first, but eventually you'll be comfortable with the way you move. To start practicing being comfortable with your own body, try hanging out in front of a mirror. When you're eating dinner, watching TV, or even lounging in bed, set up a mirror so you can see how you hold yourself. Once you get an outsider's perspective on how you move, you'll be able to see how others move as well. Eye contact. Eye contact is one of the biggest clues you can use to determine how someone truly is. It's important to become aware of your own use of eye contact as well, because it gives others clues about your personality and true nature. Maintaining eye contact is important to let a person know that you're interested in what they're saying and that they have your full attention. It can also be overused, however, and let people know that you're trying too hard to convince them that you're listening. Too much eye contact can sometimes intimidate others as well. So if you notice that a person is getting nervous because of the amount of eye contact you're having with them, change it up every now and then. Pupil dilation can be a direct indication that a person is interested in what you're saying. Ease or flee. Studies have proven that when a person's pupils begin dilating whom you're making eye contact with, They are more interested in what you have to say. They are listening to you with their utmost attention, and they're thinking deeply about what you're saying. You know when a person's pupils are dilated while talking to you, that they are legitimately interested in the conversation. Shifty eyes will indicate the opposite. Someone who is looking at your eyes back and forth is probably trying to convince you that they are listening. They are aware that they need to try and make eye contact, but they are completely zoned out with what you are saying. Those with shifty eyes might also be lying to you or trying to deceive you in some way. They might be having difficulty maintaining eye contact with you because they know they are being deceitful. Mouth movements. What someone does with their mouth is very crucial in understanding their personality as well. Someone with tight or pursed lips might be trying to concentrate, or they also might be trying hard to hide a sour face. You can analyze a person's smile as well. If the corners of their eyes aren't creased, they might be forcing a smile with you. Someone that's faking a smile isn't necessarily evil. They might just be thinking of something else, too distracted to give their full attention to what you're saying. Sometimes, smiles are also reactions to uncomfortable situations. When monkeys smile, it's not because they are happy, but mostly because they are showing their teeth as a way of threatening those around them. When they feel scared and nervous, they'll open their mouths wide, showing that they have teeth they could use to hurt. The same goes for dogs. They only show their teeth when they are feeling threatened. For humans, this can be true sometimes as well, but on a subconscious level. Nervous laughing and smiling are just a way for a person to alleviate their tension. You can tell someone is genuinely smiling when they have creases in the corners of their eyes. A person that is continually covering their mouth also is usually nervous. They might bite their lip, finger, or put a fist over their mouth. Knowing when a person is uncomfortable or nervous can sometimes be helpful when trying to persuade them. Nodding. How a person turns and tilts their head can be a subtle movement. Most of the time, others aren't as aware when they are moving their head around. The neck and head movements of the person you're talking to can give you great insight into what they might be thinking on a deeper level. Someone that nods their head rather quickly while listening to you might just be anxious, trying to move the conversation along as quick as possible. They're attempting to set a pace for you so that you speak faster. They want to let you know they hear you, but you're not speaking fast enough. If someone is doing this to you, try to speed up your words in order to hold their attention. Someone who tilts their head to the side might have a legitimate interest in what you're saying. They are attempting to turn an ear towards you so they can hear you better, whether they're aware of their movements or not. They also are indicating to you that they hear you and they want you to keep talking. It's a way for them to get closer to you in the conversation, without having to make any interjections or interruptions. If someone is nodding too artificially, they might just be attempting to convince you that they are interested in what you are saying. They could be aware that they should be paying attention, but they might have lost interest. In an attempt to keep up, they pretend to nod their head. They also might not understand what you're saying, so they nod to make you think they're keeping up. If you notice others around you are artificially nodding their head, it'd be worth it to either change the subject to regain attention, or explain yourself better, as they might just be confused. Mimicking someone's head movements can be very helpful in using persuasion. A gentle tilt of the head while listening to them can show that you are comprehending what they're saying. It can also show that you're empathetic to them, especially if they seem to be talking about something that is hard for them. Hands and arms. How someone uses their hands and arms is another way that body language can be interpreted to get a better understanding of the people you're interacting with. Our hands represent so much about ourselves. They're a way of expressing out stories, putting different emphasis on various parts. If someone's telling a story, they're going to use hand gestures to keep people interested. Think of someone engaged in a conversation as someone that's directing an orchestra. They'll lift their hands to keep up a rhythm and pace for those listening around. Someone's hands and arms can also express how open or closed off they are. They can be like the doorway into someone's body. If they're crossed tightly in front of someone's chest, that person might be a little more closed off, not wanting to engage too much in conversation. Having their arms crossed doesn't always mean that someone is necessarily closed off. They might also just be wanting to rest their arms. So if they're loosely hanging in front of their chest, they're likely just casually listening to you. Someone that has their arms outstretched, maybe over their head, will likely be very open and possibly even trying to exert power over a situation. Someone with their hands on their hips might also be trying to assert their power. Signals. Everyone has different body language quests that they use as signals. Between cultures, genders, and ages, different movements someone makes with their bodies can be conscious or subconscious signals that they're giving to the people around them. Signals let other people know bits of information without having to say anything at all. Someone with their arms crossed, eyes fading on a couch at a party, is giving the signal that they're likely ready to head home for the night. Someone else on that couch could be sitting on the edge of their seat, laughing loudly, signaling they're not going to be heading to bed anytime soon. Signals help the people around the signaler know things that they might not easily be able to express with their bodies. Some are very good at picking up on other people's signals, and some people struggle to understand those around them. When it comes to trying to persuade someone, there are some crucial signals that a person will need to be able to properly lead a conversation, starting a conversation. Next time you're sitting quietly in a room with another person, wait until they start the conversation to speak. This will allow you to study how they might start a conversation. Most people will give some sort of signal with their body that they are about to begin speaking. They might clear their throat, turn their head, adjust their shirt, or shift in their seat. There is usually something, no matter how small it might be, that a person does right before they start a conversation. When it comes to your turn to start a conversation, notice what you do before you begin speaking. Don't start with an or that lets the other person know right away that you're not very sure about what you're going to say. Try starting a conversation without doing anything. See if you can just start speaking without clearing your throat, moving your head, or doing anything else. Study how the other person reacts. They might be surprised or thrown off guard that one of you had started speaking. Starting a conversation, especially one that is meant to persuade another person, is important for laying the groundwork for your argument. No one is going to want to give their full attention to someone that is struggling to start. If you're nervous and jumping over your words right off the bat, it's going to be much harder to keep up. Leading the conversation. Once the conversation has started, it can be tricky to maintain the right amount of back and forth. You don't want to be too pushy, but you also don't want to let them talk too much, not allowing you any time to state your points. If you feel as though the other person isn't letting you talk enough, there are obvious phrases you can use to speak your mind. You might try saying something like, "Can I just say, could I speak for a minute?" Or "I'm listening, but can I say something really quick?" These can be hard to say in some situations, and some people might even perceive you as being rude if you make a large interjection. What your best option might be is to use your body to redirect focus. Put your hands on your hips, or tilt your head to let the other person know that you have something to say. Try leaning in to let them know that you want to take over as the leader of your current conversation. Leading the conversation can be tricky because no one wants to listen to someone that is interrupting them. it's still important that you get your turn to speak as well. There are ways you can practice leading conversations so that when it comes time to have an important persuasion, you can properly lead. Next time you want to say something, don't. Instead, let the other person continue speaking and interject later. Sometimes we get so anxious to say our part. We distract from the true conversation, invalidating any argument we have to the person that we interrupted. An alternative way to practice leading the conversation is to speak up the next time you want to say something. If you have something to say, but you would rather just keep quiet, force yourself to say what you want. These two methods of practice will give you two alternate perspectives on leading a conversation that you might not get otherwise. How your body language affects you. Believe it or not, how you use your body can directly affect how you function as well. There are ways that you can use to improve how you think and the capacity of your memory just by the way that you use your hands and arms. Not only are there physical differences in terms of how you use your body, but you will also be affected by the way others perceive you. If you're constantly closed off, always crossing your arms, there are probably a lot of people that might not open up or talk to you because they assume you have no interest in conversation. If you're always very open with your body, exerting confidence and holding yourself high, others might end up being intimidated by you. You might not have any intention of closing others off or being intimidating, but your body can show that in ways that your mouth doesn't. Sometimes, a person is just trying to cover up their body and not themselves. You would be surprised at how much confidence you can feel just by changing up the way you hold your body. People can still see what you look like, even if you keep your arms crossed. You might think you're altering others' perceptions of you, but really, you're just remaining closed off. There are other ways that your own body language can actually mentally affect you. Open your mind. Someone that starts opening their arms when they talk will begin to let others know that they are much more open-minded. If you stand with arms open or just hanging relaxed by your side, you let the people around you know that you are confident and willing to talk with them about different things. While having open arms is a signal for others, it's also a signal for your brain. Studies show that by standing with open arms versus crossed ones, you can actually signal your brain to be more open. You'll start to think of new ideas that you wouldn't if you kept your arms crossed. The same goes for the rest of your body. The more open you are with your movements, the more you allow your brain to have different ideas. Improve your memory. Those that talk with their hands also tend to have a better memory than those that don't. Using your hands can put physical reminders in your brain for ideas and thoughts that you might be discussing. If you mimic numbers or shapes when you're talking about different ideas, especially in a business setting, not only will you remember what you're discussing better, but those around you will find your story more memorable as well. Using your hands to talk while telling a story will also help you remember the things that you went through. Chapter 5. Powerful Body Language. Reading tips to ace your next negotiation. Like any social scenario, you are interacting across verbal and nonverbal channels. It literally results in two simultaneous conversations at one time. According to research, people send more than 800 distinct nonverbal clues over half an hour of negotiation. If you focus only on what the person is saying, you are losing out on a whole chunk of the message. Construct a brilliant bargain of understanding by tuning in to what a person is saying consciously as well as subconsciously. Here are a few tried and tested tips to ace your next negotiation by reading the other person or party accurately. The handshake. There have been volumes written about the perfect handshake. A firm handshake on meeting the person or being introduced to him or her is an indication of confidence, self-assuredness, determination, and courage. A business associate or potential client who shakes your hand firmly is subconsciously trying to convey to you that they are up for the negotiation game and are more or less firm in their decisions. Clutching a person's hand too tightly can be read as a sign of aggression, superiority, power, or intimidation. On the other hand, a limp handshake symbolizes lack of confidence, low self-esteem, and lack of clarity or low determination. Mirroring. If the other person mirrors your actions, gestures, tone, or words, it is a positive sign they are keen to impress you or buying what you say. The prospect or business associate is most likely engaged. They will lean forward or mimic your movements. When people aren't taking to what you are saying or switching off, they'll lean back. Their arms and legs will be crossed. Find a way to draw the person into the conversation and find out why they are closed out. Don't go any further when you find a person crossing his arms and legs. Try to get them to uncross their arms and legs, or they'll subconsciously not absorb what you are saying, head nodding. A person who maintains eye contact while nodding continuously implies the negotiation is going in the right direction. It is a sign of diffusing hostility or tension and creates a sense of being on the same plane with the other party. Nervous gestures. People tend to reveal their stress or nervousness through their hands. Fidgeting, twiddling, or clasping hands is a huge sign of nervousness. If you are trying to make an important or powerful point, keep your hands below the chest. Pull or entwine your fingers to make the point more confidently and forcefully. Firm feet planting. Again, the feet are the most non-obvious parts while reading a person's body language, which is why we tend to overlook a lot of revealing feet or leg movements. If people's feet are firmly or resolutely placed on the ground, he or she is firm about their point. They are resolute and not likely to change their stance. It is also a sign of high confidence, security, and self-assuredness, maintaining personal space. As discussed earlier, the field of proxemics involves focusing on the distance between two people while communicating. A person standing too close to you may be attempting to coerce or intimidate you into accepting their point. It can also be a sign of attention and interest. The feeling of hostility is less marked when the person maintains a minimum distance of 4 feet from you. It indicates they respect your personal space or are not trying to physically intimidate you. They are giving you an option to make your decision after weighing all facts and figures. Look at the hands. Hands are the most expressive parts of our body, which means it adds plenty to the meaning of the message. As a rule of thumb, if the person is rubbing their face, they are generally nervous or anxious. Similarly, when a person is keeping his or her hands on the mouth, they may be lying or concealing some important information. If the person keeps his or her hands away from their face, they are confident and truthful. Hands left loosely in a relaxed position at the side of the body is a positive sign that the person is comfortable with what is being said. They are listening to you in a relaxed and positive manner, leaning. If a person has an open posture and leans in your direction, he or she is keenly listening to or interested in what you are saying. They are also interested in knowing your opinion or take on the points they have presented. Read them while reading the document. When you want to judge a person's thoughts or feelings about the deal, pay close attention to their body language while explaining the contents of the document or clauses. When the person tells you to go through a document, ask them to highlight its contents. Tune in to their body language while they are going through the contents. It can be extremely revealing. You will know whether they are misleading you, trying to be manipulative, or are genuinely interested in offering you the best. Even experienced negotiators tend to deflect their attention on paperwork rather than focusing on people. They miss vital body language clues by not being alert and focused and poring over documents. Chapter 6. The Facial Cues. As we've iterated before, the face is a prime place to look for clues. Whether the person is touching their face or moving their face for an expression, face value has a new meaning thanks to facial cues. You can appraise what a person is saying and whether or not you should believe them by looking at their face. You'll need to consider the context and their body language to get a full, accurate report. But the face is definitely an important piece of the puzzle. Cues: fight, flight, or freeze. Some of the other expressions are going to be applicable to the face. For instance, barriers. When a person wants to hide what they are seeing, it means exactly as you would guess. They don't like what they are looking at. But it could also mean they don't like what they are hearing. A person putting their hands directly over the ears would be too counterintuitive for it to be used as an expression. It would block their ability to hear altogether and completely expose their displeasure. So instead, a sign of audible blocking would manifest as rubbing the earlobe or blocking on the eyes. In the introduction, we've mentioned a person may try to cover their eyes more subtly, like rubbing their brow. People who rub their eyes or brow, or block their eyes in some way, might be feeling shame. Commonly, shame accompanies displeasure, and having to see or hear about something they are ashamed of causes an eye-blocking maneuver. Bad liars may show shame at trying to lie to you. Pacifiers: head rubs. Under bouts of stress, a person may rub their forehead to pacify themselves. If you watch a classroom full of students taking an exam, you will see waves of individuals rubbing their forehead. That's the stress of trying to pry their brain for information to give the right answer. Someone who is lying may rub their forehead under the stress of trying to find the right words or the right gesture. This is especially true if they seem uncertain about what they are saying, even more so if it's something they should know easily. This gesture may happen in replace of rubbing the back of the neck, as both displays of body language mean the same thing. Sometimes students who are taking their exam and are worried about giving the right answer, whether through guess or knowledge, may rub the back of their necks to relieve the surmounting stress. Cheek touching. A concerned, nervous, or irritated individual may touch their cheek or other parts of their face to pacify stress-induced emotions. Well-versed liars and manipulators may have taught themselves not to touch their face as much, since it's giveaway of stress or nerves. An individual may not put their hands to their face just to pacify. It may also occur if they are interested or bored with the conversation. Typically, interest looks like the pinky to middle finger closed, and the index finger opened up along the side of the face. The thumb won't usually be visible. The other common interested gesture is an open hand against the cheek. However, this may also be a sign of boredom, depending on the expression the person has when this posture is taken. Fingers. If one's fingers are in their mouth, this is similar to blocking and can be seen when a person is feeling stress or discomfort. When you see this gesture, it may remind you of someone biting their nails, which is a nervous habit and may be displayed during a state of higher anxiety. The fingers in the mouth gesture may also manifest during doubt, uncertainty, or internal strife. The person displaying this gesture doesn't know how to move forward and is currently worried. If you start to get onto the liar's tail, and they are worried you're going to discover their lies, they may display any number of the above expressions. If they think that they've distracted you from the sensitive topic, and that they've convinced you they're in the clear, you may see any number of these relief gestures. Look for them. If you've changed the subject off of what raised the red flag to your improved intuition. Puffing cheeks. If a person pulls air into their cheeks, filling them up with air before releasing the air through pursed lips, it's likely they feel relieved, like they have just barely escaped something. The air may not remain in their cheeks for long. It may be as quick as taking a deep breath in and releasing it through rounded lips right after drawing the breath in. This can also double a gesture to create relief if the stress has been building for too long. It creates a kind of meditated lazy exhale that forces the gesticulator to take a brief second to think. This gesture could come before a hard question's answer, or after a person has felt they've escaped something. It may be safe to say they feel like they've escaped detection if this gesture happens in combination with the slight brow rub. Slight brow rub. If a person takes one finger against their eyebrow quickly, it could be a subtle version of the commonly known gesture of wiping sweat off one's brow. This one is done as a relief gesture, and as mentioned above as a combination is a sure sign of being washed with relief. If this gesture appears alone, it may also be displayed as a way to try to force a feeling of relief during a period of high stress. Remember, pacifying behaviors follow something distasteful, such as a question, something they're saying, or that you've said. The pacifier can be used for internal or external stressors, thoughts, cognitive dissonance, or something heard or seen. As for detecting manipulation or deceit, typically lies or mentions of the lied-about topic cause distress in the person lying, especially if they fear the repercussions of being caught. Micro-expressions. For the sake of being thorough, we're going to cover micro-expression, if only briefly. Micro-expression can easily reveal a person's genuine emotions, even without their knowledge. More advanced liars have practiced covering up the most obvious expressions, but even these individuals cannot master the micro-expressions, as they surpass the conscious choice. However, there remains one hindrance to our ability to use micro-expression to detect lies: their brevity. Micro-expressions are just as you would assume micro, and not because of their minute nature, but because of their lifespan, sometimes less than a quarter of a second. To really get an idea of just how minuscule that is, the average duration of a blink can be anywhere from 1/10 to 2/5 of a second. To see it another way, that's comparatively 0.25 seconds to 0.10, 0.40 seconds. A micro-expression lasts for less time than some blinks. Kibi, samuzo. Since these gesticulations can be so short-lived, it's easy to miss them or to play them off as something else. Was that a half-shoulder shrug? No, it must have been them moving their arm out of discomfort. The untrained eye and untrained detector will miss almost all micro-expressions. Common micro-expressions could be as minuscule as the seeming twitch of a shoulder, a cheek, a brow, or even a curl of the lip. People can't help but to express their deepest emotions in micro-expressions. Catching them and knowing what they are is key. What they are and how to spot them. Micro-expressions are full-faced expressions and are typically pure embodiments of an emotion. They occur on a subconscious level, making them extremely useful in discovering what a person is really feeling. It could be a full frown, smile, or anger. These brief expressions die quickly before being replaced by a conscious expression of the person's choice. A frown may show before a smile, but it's gone so fast it's practically invisible. A person may try to hide their anger, but they won't realize they flashed a scowled micro-expression before their polite laugh. The expression that comes after is hardly important, but it's usually faked. If you can spot the micro-expression before the fake smile, you know that the smile is faked without having to evaluate it as closely. Normal people miss micro-expressions. They are over with almost instantly and typically require recorded playback to be spotted. However, it is possible to spot micro-expressions if you practice. But this isn't the kind of practice like writing the alphabet. It's like studying micro-expressions and intentionally trying to spot them unwaveringly until you can pick up on them. Though some have picked up micro exceptionally quickly. Thankfully, though, if you don't want to put in the same practice as a trained clinician, you don't have to. You can fully analyze people without spotting micro-expressions. They are simply an extravagantly useful tool if you can spot them. If you do want to learn to pick up on micro-expressions, you're in luck. It's actually relatively easy to do. You simply have to have pictures of different expressions, sadness, anger, contempt, happiness, etc., and flash them really quickly before covering them up. You may not be able to tell what the expression is the first few times that you try, and it may seem like an impossible task. However, after a while of flashing expressions, it'll become easier and easier to pick up on them. You may even start to think that you've started flashing the pictures slower, but sure enough, you're just adapting amazingly well to picking up micro-expressions. Practice. Let's jump into a scenario. You're talking with a coworker. The topic of discussion is Jeanette, another coworker, who had made a fool of herself the other day. You start with the usual, "I can't believe she did that," and Marie smiles with a hand coming up to touch her cheek before she nods and agrees. "Yeah, I can't believe that she actually thought that the copier was voice-activated, as if we would get something so luxurious." You both laugh, but you notice that Marie is seemingly watching your laugh, as if to know when to stop. It strikes you as odd. At this point, we know that Marie is uncomfortable with the topic of conversation, but there is no real way to know why. She may simply feel like it could have been her who made such a fool of herself that thought alone would be enough to cause a hand-to-cheek touch. To press the matter more, you could mention that Jeanette had said something angrily about someone putting a printout of voice-activated instructions over the printer. Picking up on her odd glance, you do press the matter more, and she comments about whoever it was did something completely uncalled for. She mentions that she's sympathetic for Jeanette. As she says this, a hand comes to her face, only to stop short by her chin and move to her ear. She rubs it quickly before putting it back by her side, continues with how she would have hated for something like that to happen to her. Noticing this added movement, you ask if she has any ideas on who might have placed the printout there. Her hand moves to touch the middle of her neck, and she exhales with puffed cheeks through pursed lips. She admits that she was worried you thought it might be her, but that she could see James from IT doing it. You nod and ask why she thought she would be a suspect. She replies that you seemed very interested in the subject. Her hands move out to show open palms, and she continues with she thought maybe you wanted to get information out of her. From here, we can see that she's probably telling the truth. The open palm gesture seemed genuine, and she didn't display any further signs of discomfort, except for when it seemed you may be interrogating her. The rest of her body language was genuine and only showed concern over your implied thoughts of her. Recaps. Rubbing brow. Rubbing the brow is a sign of stress. It's common for students when taking an exam, and may manifest if someone feels they are being interrogated or feels stressed to give the correct answer. Puffing cheeks. Puffing of cheeks usually precedes the exhale through pursed lips. This is usually a physical manifestation of trying to relieve stress that is building up. It doesn't have to just be during relief, it can be used to try to gain relief. Touching cheeks. When a person touches their face, it's usually to pacify themselves from stress, discomfort, or even nerves. Rubbing the face is practically a telltale sign of stress or discomfort, as a person rubbing on their body usually is done to pacify. Though beware that people may rub places that hurt or are sore. Fingers in the mouth. This is a telltale sign that the individual is experiencing discomfort, stress, nerves, uncertainty, or doubt. It can be from a need for reassurance or worry that they are going to be caught in their deception. Chapter 7. Analyzing people via their verbal statements. It is, therefore, no surprise that we allocated a huge chunk of this book to analyzing people via non-verbal cues. Our analysis and observation skills would be incomplete and inefficient if we ignore the significance of verbal statements. Verbal statements hold a myriad of keys into the doorways of our personalities, intentions, and emotions. You can glean a lot from the words that you hear. Analyzing people through their verbal statements requires less effort and astuteness than that of non-verbal behaviors. In this chapter, we will take an in-depth look at how our words reveal our intentions, emotions, and personalities. I will include common speech clues you will come across in your daily interactions with those around you. Let's delve into this significant aspect of communication. Understanding the relationship between words, behavior, and personality. Everything you do non-verbal or say verbal speaks volumes about your personality. When you become adept at analyzing people, you will realize that there's a synergy between our actions, thoughts, and beliefs, and that each aligns to provide a full picture about who we are. The words you use, even though it seems insignificant when compared to body languages, can actually tell a great deal about your desires, strengths, insecurities, and emotions. How words reveal your personality. Hey, did you get taller overnight? At first glance, this statement looks like a friendly banter, and it reveals no negative vibe. Now, if you look at the statement from another perception, you will realize that it gives us an opportunity to glimpse the mind of the speaker. In this context, the speaker cares a lot about the height difference. How did we know that? If you think about snakes all day because you are scared of them, then you might easily confuse a skink for a snake. In other words, we notice the things we care about. When you observe the friendly banter, you will realize that the person may be concerned about his own personal height. This concern helped him to notice the height difference of his friend. This statement could also stem from the speaker's insecurity about his own height. Remember, when it comes to analyzing verbal statement, you need to take into consideration the various factors at play, and this includes watching the body language too. In totality, both aspects of communication, verbal and non-verbal, are incomplete without the other. Before we proceed, let's have a quick look at how you can analyze people through jokes. Learn to unclothe the veil around jokes. Two teenagers went to a restaurant. When the waiter came around to take their orders, one of the kids jokingly replied, "I want anything that costs $1 million." To a casual observer, it is a normal and bland banter. To an astute observer, this kid is worried about money. Perhaps his family might be passing through some kind of financial crisis, or his parents and loved ones might have taught him the importance of money. There's always a hidden message in every joke. Therefore, learning to analyze these jokes will give you a glimpse into the speaker's deepest desires and personality. You should know that the words people use have a deep meaning, irrespective of how well-crafted the words are. A person might tell a joke to you without realizing he is revealing much more about his intentions. That is why it's easy to analyze those who make hurtful jokes to demean you. As a side note, since we are talking about jokes, do you know the best sign that someone is intelligent? Humor. If you're looking to make connections with the smartest person in the room, find the one who is making others laugh the most. Stories are powerful. It is easy to recognize a biased story, either verbally or in written form. You can effectively glimpse into the storyteller's psyche by listening to him or by reading his work. Here's an example for us to dissect. From subject A's point of view. Last night, I was walking down a lonely street with my friends, and a large and muscular dark man appeared out of the neighboring bush and seemed to come toward us to attack. But he changed his mind in the last second and walked past us. From subject B's point of view. Late in the evening, I was taking a stroll when I misplaced my keys in the nearby bush. It was already getting dark when I noticed I didn't have my keys on me. Time wasn't on my side since I needed to get home quickly to prepare for my date. So I searched and searched through the shrubs until I felt the keys. I jumped out onto the street in excitement and started running home. In my excitement, I nearly bumped into a group of frightened teenagers. Both stories gave us different perspective about the incident. The first point of view was from a teenager who didn't see the look of excitement on man's face. Rather, he emphasized the words huge, large, and dark. So why did he place emphasis on the physical attributes of the man who jumped out of the bush? Well, it's because that's the part that concerns him the most. He was scared because of the man's sudden appearance and physical size. And that had a huge impact on the story. We have a full and clearer picture when you take a look at the other man's point of view, and that is the power of perception in stories. So when someone tells you a story, I want you to dissect the story and take note of the emphasized points of the story. By doing this, you will know how to analyze people effectively. Chapter 8. Connecting with other people. Human connection is a way to connect with other people that you have just met. You also need to learn to connect with people that are around you. Do you know that when you connect with other people, you give yourself a chance to grow, both mentally and spiritually? Let us look at human connection and how it impacts your livelihood. Humans are naturally born ready for connection. It is part of the DNA, which means you cannot run away from it. Right from the time you are born, the need for connection becomes second nature. If you look at a newborn baby, the need or attachment is seen when they attach to their mothers and their siblings. When you are born, you are completely helpless. All you need to do is to rely on caregivers for survival. Right from the time you are born, the need or a loving and secure relationship becomes a matter of life and death. Our brain comes with an attachment system that gives us that attraction to other people, starting with mum and dad, siblings, relatives, and then other people outside the family. There are many ways that we can connect with people. Let us look at them. Pillars of connecting with people. It does not matter where you work or what you do. You need to relate with other people. Relationships rule the world. And when you connect well with people, you will find the world a better place to live in. If you have been keen, you realize that there are people that will make instant connections with people, while others will take time to build the necessary rapport. Regardless of your status, your fame, you still need to connect with people the right way. Here are a few pillars that you can use to connect with other people. 1. Be genuine. If you wish to make the best connections in life, you need to be genuine. When you show the world that you truly care, you will connect with others the right way. So, learn to show other people that you are genuinely interested in them so that you build the best connections. If you do not have a genuine interest in a person that you are trying to connect to, then you should stop trying to connect with them. So, how do you show the other person that you are genuine? Here are a few pointers to this effect. Genuine people speak what they feel. You need to take time to figure out your perspectives and opinions about a thing, and then share these opinions with other people. The manner in which you share the opinion also matters a lot, because genuine people will present their ideas without the need to convince other people that they know what they are talking about. Genuine people spend a lot of time thinking and exploiting their beliefs. They identify their ideas and will stick to them because they believe in them. A genuine person will forge his own path. He will not be scared about what other people think about, rather what is right in their capacity. They search for and find a way to do things that will make them a success. Genuine people do not bow down to failure. They take risks and will try to make things work even when they are prone to fail. They look at failure as a source of learning and not the last option. Genuine people admit that they are wrong. They are honest with what they say or do, and will likely recognize their shortcomings at all times. They do not judge others. Rather, they accept people around them with their flaws. 2. Help others. No one in the world does not need help at one time or another. Even the most powerful people in the world will need some help when they are in distress. However, many people fear to reach out to those that are above them because they fear that they will not give something in return. However, you need to realize that as a person, you have a lot to offer anyone than you can realize. You might think that you have to offer something big, but this is not the case. At times, that little help you give to a person is all. They need to move a step closer to their goals. When you met with someone, take care that you listen keenly so that you understand that they need your help. But the biggest challenge is knowing when someone needs your help so that you can connect to them in times of need. Here are a few tips to give you an idea. Listen. In order for you to realize that someone needs your help, you need to listen keenly. Many people might not communicate their need physically, but they will give you a few clues in the way they talk. At times, the person might not have a huge problem as such. All they need is to vent and release some steam. They only need the ear of another person to listen to them out. Many people just want someone to listen to them, not even offer a lot of support that they do not need. Empathize when you hear about other people's problems. You need to put yourself in their shoes. Try to see what they are going through so that you understand their pain. When you listen to them, try and open yourself to them so that you can see the situation as it is from their angle. This way you can show them that you understand their situation and you end up making a connection. Make the call when you think about someone. Try and connect to them using a call. This way you will show them that you are thinking about them, and the simple gesture that is in your voice might be just the song that they desire to hear from you. Focus. Many people behave as if they are too busy for others. When you see that a person has an issue, try and focus your energy to their problem. This will show them that you care and they will lean on you. Knowing that someone can leave their tasks and focus on your issue is reassuring for many people. 3. Pay attention. It will be ridiculous for you to help someone if you cannot pay attention to their issue. You need to pay real attention, not just looking at them then continuing with what you are doing. So, how can you show someone that you are paying attention to them? Learn how to respond. Paying attention is all about the way you respond when the person talks or when the person acts. Do you know that it can be quite unsettling if you are trying to talk to someone and they show that they are not paying any attention to what you are saying? It will make you feel ignored and vulnerable and will show that they are not listening to you. Half of being a good person that pays attention is what you do when the person is talking to you. The other half is knowing what to say when your turn comes to respond. Pay full attention. Try not to pay a lot of attention to what the other person is saying. Do not think about other things when you are listening to the person, because then you will miss out on what the other person is talking about. When you miss out on what the person is talking about, you will fail to respond in the right manner, and this will end up not making sense at all. They might even feel that you have been ignoring them all the time. Avoid distraction. When you need to pay attention to someone, to try and avoid any distractions that might come your way. Instead, make sure that you put aside any distractions, then focus on what the other person is going through. 4. Connect with people close to them. When you need to make people get closer to you, it is vital that you also network with those that are close to them. If you talk to them and mention a person that they are close to, they will add a lot of credibility to the connection. This is especially vital when you are looking for a job or you need a referral. To make these connections, try and reach out to the people, even when it is not a special occasion. Try and make small talk when you meet with these people, and then try and reach out during events. Spend more time connecting to your current network of colleagues and friends, and you will see where it ultimately leads. 5. Persist till it works out. Persistence usually wins battles. When you persist, you become a winner in all situations. Let us look at the various tips that will make you connect with other people through persistence. Always take the first step. When you feel that the connection you make will be beneficial to you, try and take the first step. If you have had a friend and you need to reconnect, take the initiative and go after them. Do not wait for them to come after you. An email or a phone call from an easy and quick way to convey your interest to spend time together. Reach out in the right way. You need to consider the way you reach out to the person depending on how far you two have grown apart. You also need to consider how far the two of you had grown apart, so that you know how to reach out. For instance, if you have not seen someone for a while, you reach out casually. Be persistent and not too eager. If the friend does not respond immediately or is hesitant, then let it rest for some time. Do not rush anything though, as it will make it hard for them to connect. No one desires a person that is too persistent. 6. Make real friends. You need to think about the friends you have and how you have made them. This is all there is to it. You need to make friends with people that want to be friends with you. Here are the top tips that you can use to attract genuine friends in your life. Look at the good side of people. You need to understand that no one is perfect. Everyone has traits that make it difficult to live with them. This way, we always focus on the things that are difficult. To make genuine friends, try to look at the good side of everyone. Always smile. Many people will be attracted to you if you smile. When you smile, you will connect to other people quickly. Whether it is online or you are meeting people face to face, smiling makes it easy for them to connect to you. Let go of any grudges. When you have an issue with someone, you need to learn to let go of grudges that might come up. You might find it hard to release yourself from the negative thoughts that someone made you unhappy and focus on the positive. Let go of any negative thoughts and focus on the positive present times. Be helpful. When you are helpful, you will create a long-lasting friendship that will make you a good friend for all the people that you meet. When you help someone, you make them feel that you are the best friend that they can have at any time. Be kind. Kindness can never be out of place. You might not be able to live up to it, but with a little kindness, you will be able to attract good friends always. Appreciate. Learn to appreciate the little things people do for you. Do not take your friends for granted, and always think about them with a lot of gratitude. Make sure you express the gratitude in words and actions. How to connect to people at work. Connecting with people is an art that human beings are born with. It is like a birthright that everyone has, and should. Put it to practice to achieve more in life. For instance, when a child is born, he is connected to the parents. Different other connections can be initiated between people for various reasons that will benefit both them and the people they are connecting to. For instance, connecting to people at work. Connecting with people at work is a very important thing. It makes work easy because of the mood, the help you get when stuck, and the stress alleviation. Sometimes you might have life stresses that do not work related, but when you reach your office and see your good workmates, they help relieve the burden of stress. Relationship at work also helps one achieve his targets. When the relationship is there, there is teamwork, and everyone will help each other reach their potential and achieve their goals. There are different ways that can help you connect to people at your workplace, and these are: start small. You cannot have everything at once. Make priorities of what you want. Just like when going to a shopping mall, you do not want to shop for everything. You will have priorities that you think will help you first. Saying hello to people is not bad at the workplace, but you do not want to be the general hello type of a person if you want to connect to people. You need to narrow your focus to the people who interest you. They could be 2, 3, or even 1 people in the workplace. Select them carefully with the knowledge of what you have in common with them. This person should be someone others feel comfortable talking to. You do not want to have a connection with a rejected person, or a person that people are so much afraid of for how he treats people. The person you connect with closely will talk positively about you because they know you and understand you better. Do not overthink the idea of picking out people you want to relate to at work. This is for the better of the company, other workers, and yourself. You are only being considerate and cautious of whom you want to share your connection. Secure some time. You can never know someone if you do not have time for them. This means there will be no connection at the workplace if you do not spend time with the person you want to connect with. Responsibilities and schedules get tighter every now and then, but you must make sure that your schedule is flexible enough to accommodate the people you want to be connected to at the workplace. Make some time and go out for drinks, or go to your house for a watch party after work. If it is at the office, go to lunch together. Spend some quality time talking to each other, and this will release the uneasiness if there was any. Ask questions. Some people are afraid that when they go out with the people they want to connect with, they will lack what to say. This is not true. Everyone has a sense of curiosity. Make sure your curiosity works well. Ask questions focusing on a shared connection. Do not make a mistake of making these questions all about you. For example, asking someone, "Do you like me? Do you think this relationship will work?" Such questions will put your connection target in doubt. He will know that you are desperate, and sometimes people's motives are different. He can use you instead of being honestly connected to you. Note that most people do not like desperate people, for desperate people are known to lack clear judgment and good decisions. Be original and true. Someone once said, "Be you, the world will adjust." Originality in your personality is what makes people like you or want to be connected to you. Be who you are. You do not have to fake anything when it comes to connecting to people at the workplace. Be yourself, and there is someone who will like you for who you are and will want to be connected to you. When you fake personality to make people want to spend time with you, the fakeness will soon wear off, and people will see the real you. This will be a big scandal because they will start avoiding you at work, which will affect your performance and might lead to disastrous issues like losing your job. If you really want to connect to someone, do it honestly with truthfulness, but not with a callous mind. This will make the other person and you comfortable in whatever the connection you share. Do not make the excuses. Most of the people become so emotional at work when they think of connecting to someone else. Some people are afraid that the other person will think they are a bother or they are desperate, and might just turn them down. However, this is not true. Inasmuch as you are afraid of making the connection, understand that fear is part of it, but you should not be driven by it to cut out your connections. Stop making excuses that fear is hindering you. It is part of your connection growth. Each connection in this world starts with fear. Fear shows that you are cautious. Nobody is ever sure that people will like them back or will be connected with them if they do not try. So you must try and approach your targets instead of giving excuses for your fears. Let them know you want to be near them through your actions. At the workplace, you can offer to assist arrange his files if he is your target. You can offer lunch together. This sends a clear message that you are kind and you are looking for a connection. Conclusively, connecting to people work is more than just having a fling with a workmate. It builds you in an invisible way that you sometimes realize if you get a transfer or retire. It makes one improve in his performance. It helps balance the burdens of life by helping get solutions to them, and it uplifts one's emotional being. Chapter 9. The Body Language of Attraction. So you are attracted to a person and want to ask him or her out. Or you've been fixed up by common friends on a blind date. You may be out on a first date, or even meet someone at a party and ask them out. Is there any magical, telepathic way to know if the other person is attracted to you? Can you figure out if a person genuinely likes you or is just being nice to you? Can verbal and non-verbal clues point to a person's real intentions, feelings, or thoughts in a relationship? Body language is a great way to unlock a person's mental framework and dive into their inner feelings, including thoughts about a particular person or relationship. Increase your social proof, or change the rules of attraction by decoding the right non-verbal clues. The body language of attraction is generally similar for men and women. You'll know when a person is genuinely interested in you and the signals you need to give them to communicate with them on a subconscious level. Learn more about the body language of attraction, ways to spot it, and how to use it to your advantage. Signs of attraction. When a person is attracted to you, they will give out plenty of positive body language clues. For starters, their face, shoulders, chest and legs or feet will point towards you. They will lean closer to you while talking, which means they are keen on entering your personal space. Remember proxemics. If you really want a person to know you are interested in them, or to avoid confusing them by showing excessive interest at the onset, stand with him or her shoulder to shoulder rather than facing them. Let the other person know they've earned your attraction during the course of the conversation, and then you gradually move to face him or her. Leaning towards a person is a non-verbal manner of communicating that you are engrossed in what the person is saying. When there is a group of people and the person is leaning in your direction, he or she is interested in you. They are subconsciously pulled towards you. Other positive signs of attraction are uncrossed arms and legs, a genuine smile and revealing open palm. Head tilting is a sign of interest, attraction and engagement. It demonstrates a person's need to let you know they are present by tilting their head and gazing at you. Avoid looking over someone's head or all over the room. It shows lack of interest, understanding and sensitivity. Mirroring. Another subconsciously driven yet clear act of attraction is when a person starts mirroring your actions. When the person starts imitating your gestures, expressions, postures or words, it's an indication he or she is seeking your acceptance. At a party at the bar, they'll lean against the counter just like you are leaning. He or she may hold their glass similar to how you are holding it. Also, they may take a sip of the drink immediately after you. He or she is subconsciously trying to communicate that they are of your type or one among you. Psychologically, the motivation of affiliation leads people to mirror the actions of people to be accepted by them. Touch. Touch is a clear sign. The person is at ease in your presence or is interested in getting to know you. They may playfully or flirtatiously hit on you by touching you. The person may briefly place their hand on your hand, shoulder or legs while interacting with you. He or she may accidentally touch you or bump into you. If you are confused about how to read a person's touch, closely observe how he or she touches others in comparison with how they touch you. If you observe that the person touches you more frequently or differently than he or she touches others, it may be a clear sign of attraction. Even when you are attracted to a person and want to convey attraction through body language, don't do too much too soon. People, especially women, aren't very comfortable with excessive touch too early. Similarly, if you totally distance yourself from them, they won't know you are attracted to them. Find a happy balance. Begin with light, playful shoulder or elbow taps. Move gradually from there to touch their upper arm or back as you speak. Increase touch slowly and in a sublime manner so they enjoy it and do not feel uncomfortable. Eye contact. You can visibly tell if a person is attracted to you or not based on their eye contact. When people hold their gaze on you for a couple of seconds, they look away and finally back at you immediately within seconds. You've most likely captured their interest. Even in the manner in which a person breaks their gaze or eye contact can reveal if they are attracted to you. For instance, if a person looks at you, then looks down, which is both a sign of shame and shyness, or away, there's a decent chance he or she is weak in their knees or shy in your presence. While making eye contact, if the person holds their gaze and offers a warm smile, you've caught their fancy. This is also a huge indicator of confidence and self-assuredness. The person looks more poised and confident to win your affection. Wrist display. Our body has specific vulnerable spots that we have always been subconsciously trying to protect since evolution. The areas include our neck, wrist, shoulders, and throat. People walk with their wrists held inwards to protect them. When people are attracted to you, they will start displaying their wrists to you. The wrist is also known to be a highly erotic area, owing to the fact there are greater nerve receptors in this sensitive region. This is exactly why fragrances are applied on the wrist. People who are attracted to you will touch their wrists or place their wrists on a surface. Women and purse behavior. Watch out for women and their purse behavior. People interact with their objects and environment based on how they are feeling. For women, a purse is an object that can reveal a lot about their state of mind. When they are uncomfortable or nervous, they will clutch the purse tightly or hold it in front of the body. Similarly, when a woman finds a man desirable, she will hold the purse more loosely because she doesn't want anything coming between her and the object of her desire. The purse doesn't block her frontal side, which means the woman is relaxed and at ease with the company. This shows she is more than feeling attracted to the man. When the woman puts her purse away on the floor or nearby table, she wants everything out of the way while communicating with you. Similarly, when a woman is attracted to someone, she will keep her purse near that person rather than away from them. The woman will touch her purse while making conversation with you, which means she's all right with exposing her personal belonging. There is a compelling string connection when she entrusts a person with the task of holding her purse. Another surefire sign that a woman is attracted to you is when she makes complete eye contact and unhurriedly makes the lip-licking movement. This is a clear indication of sexual attraction or seduction. The woman, more often than not, wants to take things to another level. An almost guaranteed sign of conveying attraction for a woman is pouting and suggestively licking her lips. Women also tend to cross their ankles to make their frame look slimmer and the hips look wider. Similarly, women who are attracted to you will place their chin on their hand to subconsciously communicate that she has put her face on display for you. Even though all this sounds rather hollow, vain, and maybe even offensive to some, we must keep in mind that body language operates on a subconscious, primal level. It dates back to the rules of attraction and mating during evolution. Though rules of attraction have become more sophisticated and refined in the modern era, primitive traces still exist. Hair touching. Touching or fiddling with the hair is also a huge sign of attraction, especially for women. However, it can also be a sign of nervousness, discomfort, fear, and insecurity. Basically, again, it boils down to interpreting this move using a clear context or interpreting someone's mood. Watch out for a cluster of signs that reveal attraction. Are other non-verbal signs pointing towards attraction? Legs and feet. The direction in which a person's feet are pointing is a dead giveaway of his or her attraction for you. If the feet are pointed towards you, he or she is almost always keenly listening to you or attracted to you. Much like feet pointed in your direction reveal attraction and interest, feet turned away in the opposite direction is a clear indication that the person is trying to escape or move away from you. They are getting ready to run or take flight. Hips don't lie. It is a widely known fact that women possess wider hips than men owing to their body's childbearing functions. Generally, healthy females have waists that are 70% of their hips. This is the ratio men tend to find most desirable on a subconscious level. When women find a man desirable, they will slant their hips from end to end to put all their weight on a single side, while moving to make the hips protrude in a seductive manner. Watch out for the way a woman leans in or over you. A light push against you with her breast is almost always a sign of attraction or seduction. She'll look sideways at the man while slightly lifting her torso upward to draw attention to her breasts. The heartbeat. When people say someone makes their heart beat faster, they aren't very far from the truth. Studies have revealed that when a person is near someone he or she finds attractive, their heart rate increases. Of course, you aren't going to check someone's pulse at a party or at the bar on a first date. However, when someone's breath rate increases, or if their palms become hot when you hold hands, they are most likely ready to take it to the next level. Flushing and blushing. When a person is attracted to someone, the blood flow inside their face increases. This causes their cheeks to turn red. This is also true when a person is embarrassed, shy, or lying. This is similar to the physiological effect experienced while experiencing an orgasm. The flushed feeling is an evolutionary or primordial way of conveying attraction. This is also why women dab blush on their cheeks. A woman's lips are subconsciously symbolic of her fertility and sexual prowess. The fuller and redder they look, the more attractive she appears. Men conveying attraction. What are the typical signs men use to convey attraction? They raise their eyebrows or do an eyebrow flash, which is a quick rise and plunge of the eyebrow. This is a subconscious act that is easy to miss if you don't look carefully. Men part their lips slightly, especially when their eye meets yours for the first time. Flared nostrils also reveal an open expression. Unconscious grooming acts such as stroking their tie and tousling their hair convey they are more mindful of the way they appear in your presence. Similarly, when a man stands with his feet apart, he is communicating attraction at a subconscious, almost primal level. Also, when men stand facing you directly, it may be a sign of attraction. Observe how a man gives your body a once-over at a subconscious level. He will check you out from head to toe if he is interested in you or thinks you are desirable. Men spread their legs and sit to reveal their attraction and potential to prospective mates while playing the attraction game. Similarly, they also tend to adjust their crotch to bring attention to their package. Men who are attracted to you will keep their hands on their hips, trying to emphasize their physical stature. They are also subconsciously highlighting their sexual assets. Men often tend to play with the buttons of their jacket. When they experience a strong attraction for someone, the man will constantly touch his face, usually in a more erotic manner while interacting with you. Men will often sit on the edge of their chair to eliminate the distance between you and him. When a man feels a strong sense of attraction and protectiveness, he will most likely put his hand on your back or elbow to guide you. This is their way of expressing guidance and protection. Men will also fiddle with beer bottles or glasses, rolling these objects with their fingers or squeezing it. To convey their attraction, men generally squeeze round objects, while women tend to fondle cylindrical objects for obvious reasons. Men who are attracted to a woman and want her to notice them will stand slightly apart from a group. If people are standing in a circle, they will stand outside the circle or right inside it, as if they are the center of attention. Chapter 10. How Words Shape Reality. To analyze someone thoroughly, you must equip yourself with more tools than simple lie detection. Knowing when someone is lying is practically essential to navigating this world, but knowing the tricks that individuals employ to weave situations to their desires is also imperative. Simple phrases sway crowds in one direction or another. Requests made in one manner or another may sway the outcome, and if you're aware of these techniques, you can prepare your guard against them. With manipulators being rampant, our guards must be higher and prepared. Diction and syntax. First and foremost, we'll talk diction and syntax and why they are important. Inexperienced liars may not realize the nuances of lies, leaving you with the opportunity to catch them in their deceit through their words with little to no effort. Experienced liars are all too aware of how their words will shape reality. They may choose their words so carefully or have prepared their stories so thoroughly, it would be hard to spot their lie if you weren't already aware of how they might weave these webs of deceit. Slips of the tongue. Sometimes slips of the tongues are just that. Other times they may indicate something more. Since liars may not have had a lot of time to solidify their story before talking with you about it, they may be making up some of the details as they go along, which could lead to a slip of the tongue. When fabrications start to happen, it's easy to get words and phrases and pronouns mixed up. Slips are less common in truthful answers than deceitful answers. For instance, if a person has told you a story, and to clarify, you've asked which direction they went and they start or respond with a contradiction, then correct themselves, you may be looking at deceit. Slips of the tongue may also occur during the alteration of the truth. Advanced liars know that lies based on truth are easier to get away with. But there is a drawback. Lies based on truth leave room for slip-up. If a man goes to a party with a woman, when he told his wife he went with a male friend, he may accidentally refer to his friend as a female sometime is his story, and correct himself. While people can naturally make this kind of mistake, they are more frequent when the truth is being manipulated to fit a certain tale. If this man displays more body language or facial cues to suggest his slip-up wasn't just an accident, like stress or nervousness, it's likely he's trying to cover up his actions with a manipulated truth. Pauses in speech. During conversation, pauses can be natural, especially when recalling older information, but unexpected pauses could be indicative of fabrication. The liar could also be mulling over what information to alter or omit. Take note of anything that follows on awkward or unexpected pause. It may prove advantageous to revisit the topic later on. Pauses could also signify a chance to choose words. Commonly, a person may pause to think of the words they need to use, especially if they are trying to keep from stepping on toes. This same principle is applied to what word choice would create the least resistance in their prey, if they are a manipulator. Pausing in words may remind you of the primitive body language freezing. It's true that pausing in speech could directly correlate, because it allows the brain time to analyze what it should do next. Speech patterns and pace. The same may apply to a change in a person's speech pattern or pace. Take note of how fast the person talks, how often they pause, and the general pace and pattern. If there are changes to this pace, a slow speaker suddenly forces words out in a frenzy, or a quick talker starts to slow down, or even those who pause a lot stop pauses, or vice versa. Take note. Changes in speech usually happen to allow the mind to adjust. If the salesman's victim is willing enough to reopen the door, what then is keeping them from also complying with buying a product? Salesmen know if they start with a request, and it is accepted being listened to instead of closing the door completely, but there is left room for another request, the crack in the door, then a person is more likely to accept a second large request, buying a product, if it is preceded by a smaller, accepted request, allowing the salesperson to put their foot in the door. Putting our foot in the door would be like asking a friend to borrow $20, before asking the same friend to also run a marathon for charity. Over half of people who are asked to comply to a small request, and whom accepted, complied to the second larger request. This gives merit to the saying, "Give him an inch and he'll take a mile." We have to admit there was wisdom in some of the older sayings. Though we may not have understood why this concept worked when the phrase was originally coined, we can do well to explain it now. Hint: one aspect is that the first request's acceptance primes for an altruistic response again. Foot in the door phenomenon works because once a person has agreed to the first request, the one subjected to the request feels more involved. There is now a commitment, even if it's a small one. Commitment is another major factor when considering manipulation. How often do you buy the same brand's product because it's what you're used to, or because they have come out with something better? With that commitment made, the one subjected to the request feels obliged to accept the next request. Sure, you'll upgrade models with the same company, even though there is only one advantage to the new product, and even though your current model works perfectly fine. Low-balling. Surprisingly enough, this next technique is practically the complete opposite of the first one. To continue our first setting, we'll still talk about salesmen, but we'll move to another well-known incident. The car salesman. It's not really surprising to consider what they do as manipulation. To be more precise, it is what they do with the price that is manipulation. Lowballing is the technique of offering a product at one price and then raising it. This can be done with cars or any product or request, really. It's the very process of inflation in economy, or maximizing profit by seeing what the highest price a customer will buy a product for is. Either way, for companies, this is their favorite manipulation technique. But companies aren't the only ones using this technique. A car salesman will offer a car at one price, a whopping $22,000 for the brand new car. Then, after the customer accepts to pay for the car at this price, there are suddenly some drawbacks in some of the unseen paperwork, in which the salesman regretfully, informs the customer that the price is no longer $22,000 but $24,000. But hey, you get that cool-looking spoiler and some added volume to the stereo. Or the model that you wanted specifically wasn't in stock, so they had to upgrade you. But they'll give you a discount one that still leaves the price higher than it originally was, but you can have the cool accessories. Since the customer or prey has already agreed to the first price, it isn't difficult to get them to budge and accept the second, even higher price too. This doesn't just apply to salesmen though. Your spouse, friend or co-worker may ask you to do something small that you don't really want to do, especially true if they know that you may have a hard time saying no. It may just be a small inconvenience, but your acceptance signals a readiness to comply to a larger request. So once you've accepted, they may add, "Oh," and while you're at it, this is a common technique employed by numerous individuals. While they may innocently and ignorantly use this technique, only asking in this manner because it has worked before, others are using it solely because it's a proven method of manipulation. Knowing about these psychological inclinations can help you abstain from falling into the traps. If you have a hard time saying no and don't mind helping with the first small task, but really don't want to do the second larger task, remind yourself why you feel inclined to do the second and that you don't have to. Use this time to practice saying no. It may behoove you to practice noticing this technique's usage. Try to evaluate requests and see if they are done through foot in the door or by low-balling. If you notice that they are, practice saying no. The easier you can identify these situations, the easier it will be to notice when they are used malevolently as a method of manipulation. Chapter 11. Obstacles to reading people biases, misunderstandings, and more. According to top FBI agents, it's common for us to misread people. In the case of certain criminals, people have lived side by side, next door with individuals who looked, seemed and acted like upstanding citizens, but turned out to be doing serious crimes behind closed doors. So how do we really read people? The techniques above work to a degree, but where do we go astray? The advice of FBI profilers is to stay open and keep observing. It's when we think we know someone that we end up being blind. Here are a series of other blind spots to be aware of, so that you can be a more effective reader of people and more accurate. Icons idolizing people. When you put someone on a pedestal, you stop seeing them as a human, and the biases in your mind can set in quickly. We can be either intimidated by their power or insist on seeing them through rose-tinted glasses. Possibly worst of all, we may think that this person could do no wrong and deny things that are happening in front of our faces. This can happen with parents and loved ones or bosses and other authority figures. It's painful to see the people we look up to being less than ideal. especially if we feel dependent on them. We don't want to see their flaws and foibles because that rocks the boat of our own security. However, it's detrimental to ourselves and to them to turn a blind eye. People misread celebrities and other people in power because they also want someone or something to look up to. In general, people idolize religious figures, military and sometimes police, and endow them with certain traits that they may not have. We give them our trust without question and without staying open. To be an effective analyst, it's important to root out your own personal idols and look at them as humans. We are all flawed, and that is okay. Pretending that someone is perfect actually hurts your ability to relate to them because you are dealing with a fantasy. These delusions also cause a bunch of extra work that wastes everyone's time. Looking reality squarely in the face is the first step to addressing this issue. Next, acknowledge why you want to idolize the person and work through that dependency if necessary. You'll feel stronger and more able to see things as they are after you do that. Your day-to-day reading will likely become more accurate after you go through this process with at least one of your idols. We profile people and have stereotypes. This is indeed part of the speed reading process. But the pitfalls really come from not keeping yourself open. Books have been written about police violence against certain racial groups because their biases are so deeply ingrained that they acted impulsively. Many innocent people have been killed. There are cultural biases and prejudices that run deep, and when they remain unexamined or still yet unconscious, the things we do can be damaging. Here is an example of people trusting their bias and ending up in a dangerous situation. A couple was hitchhiking, and a beautiful high-end car stopped to pick them up. The driver was an ex-military man. The car itself, and the fact that he had been in the army, made the couple think this was a safe ride to take. However, they were very wrong. The driver began driving erratically once they got in. He was speeding to the point where they were very scared and asked to be let out of the car. Finally, when he let them out, he attempted to run them over. Needless to say, their stereotype of the protective ex-soldier was tarnished by this experience. Take a look at your own stereotypes and be aware of them. They may be accurate, or they may be very off. It's a good idea to keep them at the forefront of your mind so that you can question them and ensure that you are seeing the person clearly. Personal biases. There are cultural biases that are shared by people in society, where we commonly misread or misjudge people. Then there are personal biases that also run deep and affect your ability to read accurately. When we grow up, there are formative experiences with parents, teachers, and others that lay a foundation or template inside of us that can be hard to shake. The mean teacher we had in grade 2 with the black hair and thick glasses, and the direct voice can affect how we feel about the new woman at work who looks just like her. These strong feelings can be mistaken for intuition when really it's a strong link to a past experience that we never got over. This can also work with positive experiences in the past. The woman in the office reminds us the aunt we love so dearly. We have all sorts of warm, fuzzy feelings around her and call that intuition. Worse yet, we might block out actual bad behavior to keep this illusion in place. Projection. In psychology, they call projection the externalizing of our traits onto others. We reject certain parts of ourselves. We dislike certain parts of ourselves. When they are very unacceptable, we keep ourselves so separate that we can only see them in other people. The downside of this is that we aren't necessarily seeing the other person when we have strong things like this going on inside of us. We are seeing the things we dislike and putting them on others. So reading a person will be distorted by our internal struggle with our own personality. We can go so far as to really think that person is that thing. Again, the key is to stay open and get curious. Maybe, if you have a good relationship with the person, ask them if that is how they are. This behavior is a defense mechanism, and everyone does it. The way to help yourself through your biases is to acknowledge those parts of you first. According to Freud, this process of projection is there to reduce feelings of shame, guilt, and stress that are present in everyone for being ways that we disapprove of. Here is an example to illustrate the point. A person thinks racism is bad and doesn't want to be like that. However, they do have racist thoughts and feelings deep down. Instead of acknowledging them and accepting that they have this tendency, this person finds their friend to be this way. Another important aspect of projection is believing everyone is like us. Again, this has been explained as a defense mechanism that helps people to feel more secure and at home with others. We like to feel the same. We like to think that others are like us. It helps reduce a feeling of existential angst or the deep down alone feeling. This is how it works. A person who is projecting might think, I think that achievement is very important to me, and so I deduce that everyone is focused on achievement in the same way. I imagine that they feel bad when they don't achieve in the same way that I do. I may also judge others as less for not achieving and pushing the way that I think they should. I imagine they feel bad about themselves and have negative thoughts, and so go. The person created a whole story in their head about others based on their own values, and rather than recognizing that not everyone sees the world in the same way. The solution to this problem is interacting with people and find out what is important to them, what they are doing, how are they feeling. Listen and watch. This can be very informative and the best teacher in the world for someone who thinks that everyone really is like them. People who have lived sheltered lives can be overly trusting when they assume that everyone is like them. There is a loss of innocence to seeing that this isn't true. Or worse, these people get taken advantage of because they can't imagine someone else's malicious intent. Education is key. How invested are you in keeping a relationship or having a relationship go a certain way? Insisting that reality be one way doesn't make it so. There are many stories like this where the romanticism or idealized nature of the relationship prevents people from communicating well. Now that you have an awareness of the many ways we are wrong about others, you can have a good laugh about how we think we know each other. It's funny to think that we know someone inside and out, when most of the time, that is just the tip of the iceberg. This is a beautiful thing to celebrate because it means that life is vibrant and can be new every day. What can you learn about the people you are closest to that would help you see them more clearly? Chapter 12. Practical Applications. The tools, techniques, and information outlined in this book give you a solid foundation upon which to build your reading skills. There is no shortage of people out there in the world to practice with. Even if you don't go outside, there are movies and TV shows where you can get started. Where would you like to focus your energy? This skill set of effectively analyzing or reading people will improve any aspect of your life that involves other people, though, and is sure to raise the quality of your relationship. Here are a few ways that you can apply the learnings we provided. First, areas of conflict will definitely benefit from better reading skills. There are people like counselors and arbitrators who help in situations like this, and in the most extreme cases, we go to the law. However, the power is now in your hands to observe, listen, and analyze the person you struggle with, so that you can begin to repair the relationship. Use the observation tools and open yourself up to see this person more clearly. There is bound to be lots of information that you didn't notice before that can bridge a gap between you and a perceived enemy. Question your biases and projections to see where you have been mistaken about them. Notice if you have taken things personally that were not intended that way. Try to see things from their perspective by determining their personality type and figuring out what they are going for in life. Then think about how you start to heal things with them in a way that they would appreciate, given your newfound understanding and perspective. Second, analyzing people is an excellent way to improve your romantic life. If you are dating, use this wonderful opportunity to test and hone your intuition, your observation skills, and your understanding of personalities and types. Practice reading body language to know if they are into you or not. Notice if they lean toward you or away. Pay attention to their gaze especially. We look into the eyes of another person longer when we are interested in them. Some other subtle cues that women give off to show they are attracted are flicking the hair, exposing the neck, giggling and covering the mouth. When a man wants to attract a woman, he makes large gestures and takes up space. Both sexes tend to touch each other and get close when they are attracted. Research this more to get the full picture of what to look for on a date. Knowing the signs of attraction will help you connect. Third, in business, especially sales, reading and analyzing people is essential. If you want to improve your sales skills, talk to people, a lot of people. In the process, find out about them, listen, be open, and aim to see what that person is really all about. What makes them tick? Notice their behavior and what they say. Adjust your way of communicating with people when you see more who they are and realize what their personality type is. Speak to them in their own language. If they are pragmatic, get to the facts. If they are amiable, create good feelings and a sense of harmony. Fourth, analyzing people well will help when teaching others. Recognizing the different styles of learning and the different personalities will help everyone communicate better. All too often teachers treat all students the same, mostly because there is overcrowding in classes and the demands are high. However, seeing each student as an individual will go a long way to creating a cohesive learning environment and promote harmony among the students. In addition to that, learning about personal biases and projection helps immensely in being kind and compassionate as an authority figure at the head of the class. Fifth, strong reading skills are key for all employers. When hiring someone, you want them to be a good fit for the team and also be a productive employee. It's a good idea to put the candidate at ease so that you can really see their true colors. All too often, people come to job interviews with canned answers and a persona. You want to cut through that and let the person reveal themselves authentically to you. It's also a good idea to test them in the actual work environment so that you can see firsthand how they handle stress and pressure. Observe how they work with others and whether their behavior and personality is consistent and reliable. Practice getting a baseline on each of the candidates' behavior and find their habits. Then later in the interview, ask more hard-hitting questions and observe how the person responds. See if they are nervous or confident and determine if they are honest and forthcoming based on what you see and hear. Sixth, reading skills will help you better understand people overall. Where do you misunderstand people? Where do you think you already know for sure why someone does the things they do? Those are 2 spots to start. Another way to apply these things is to think about someone you want to get closer to, who you think you already know perhaps. Then spend some time doing the things outlined in this book. Observe them, listen to them, and reflect on their personality and what you think is important to them. Then go to them and ask questions. Get curious, delve in, and take in, not just what they say, but also how they say it. What gestures do they use? How do they use their voice? What is their emotional state? This could be a very expansive thing for people in long-term relationships or old friends to do as a way to renew and rejuvenate a relationship. Chapter 13. Individual differences in people's perceptions. We have already studied about the appearance, behaviors, and characteristics of the people we meet, and usage of the above traits in understanding them. It is now vital to have an emphasis on social psychology, on the situation of the people we decide to judge. A person is also vital. Consequently, let us take into consideration a few of the person variables that affect our potency to judge the people. perceiver characteristics. We believe that the outcome of an analysis of an individual conducted by different individuals will be the same as the concerned individual's behavior. Nature and traits would be the same. For example, if you, while discussing with your mom, describe your sibling, say Kitty, you both should have a similar opinion or almost similar description of her. But it may not turn out to be true in all cases, as the mom-daughter relation is different from the relationship shared by the sibling. Kitty could be more demanding and stubborn to her mom than his elder brother-sister. In general, the equation of relationship circumstances, frame of mind of an individual, and the place of the meet are the few elements that will form the basis of analysis. The result will be different based on a distinct sample of behavior and would be surely different. On the other hand, different impressions could be formed by individuals while talking to an individual. A human being usually uses his approach, schemas, experience, and expectations while forming an opinion about anyone. Interpretation of every individual will be different due to their own and distinct perception. And this is what we like to substantiate on, that our experience sketches the canvas of our perception. One of the key elements that lay an impact over our opinion about a given individual is the way we observe the present cognitive accessibility of traits of a given individual. In other words, it can be said that the quickest image or idea that hits the perceiver about an individual aids in forming different opinions about an individual. Due to variation in accessibility, diverse people will get to see different aspects of one's personality. As some people emphasize on looks and dressing style of an individual, some would be captivated by physical stature, few by intelligence, etc. If your basic nature is inclined on your look, you too would first observe the dressing sense, branded stuff worn by him, etc. This justifies our saying that the difference in accessibility leaves a mark over the type of impression that we form about others, as we generate an idea on the things we focus on. However, if you ask a person to comment on some set of people, his observations would be more or less similar than on being asked by a different individual, due to the difference in accessibility of all people. If you are the one that stays attuned with the fashion, then the first criteria of observation would be on fashion sense or style only. Your opinion for others reflects a bit about your own persona too. Need for cognition is the propensity to think comprehensively and vigilantly about our experiences. People can also be categorized in terms of their instinct to process information about others. Folks with a strong need for cognition engage in an intense and considerate manner, and consequently may come out with more casual attribution and vice versa. People with a higher need for cognition emphasize more on circumstantial factors while taking into account the behavior of people. Such folks turn out to be more tolerant and lesser impulsive than those with lesser and no need for cognition. Even though the need for cognition refers to an inclination to consider carefully and comprehensively about any topic, but there are also individual differences in the tendency of the people. Individual difference, along with being present in our acknowledgement, also hides in the kind of character that we construct about others and ourselves. Few people can be sectioned into entity theorists who believe that traits are constant and not prone to change. Conversely, incremental theorists believe that traits and personalities vary with times. As per a study, people classified as incremental theorists more finely use the circumstantial aspects of the scenario than even actors. However, an entity theorist is also unable to encode the reasons for behavior. Individual differences in attribution styles also cast its impact on our own conduct. Entity theorists are presumed to face a tough time taking a new task, as their own perception facilitates the thinking of inability to handle new challenges. An incremental theorist delivers better in new challenges as they consider themselves more flexible. You can notice how people's attribute can aid us to comprehend our perception about ourselves and others, along with our attitude towards social context. Conclusions. Now you know how to read people like a book. Your life will become so much easier now that you have finished this book and learned the critical life skill of reading other people. You can become a better person by knowing how to read people. Reading people allows you to develop empathy. You can tell what others are feeling and respond accordingly. Your sensitivity will make you a more responsive and caring lover, parent, friend, and family member. You can also protect yourself better from the harm of people with bad intentions. When you are able to read people, you are consequently able to spot people that will not benefit you. Before you get too far into a relationship of any nature with someone harmful, you can see what the person is about and prevent further harm from happening. When it comes to choosing a good friend or lover, you are now better able to pick people that are good for your life. You can spot those that actually care for you and have the capability of treating you well. You can pick lovers and friends that have good track records. All of these benefits are now yours. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might find it helpful. Your support means everything and helps this channel grow and reach more people. And if you'd like to go even further in supporting the channel, consider joining as a member to get exclusive content and behind-the-scenes insights. Stay curious, stay powerful, and I'll see you in the next one.